Open Doodle Class, episode 20. It's the fourth class of Greek mythology with my man, Dragon Slayer Commentaries. And today we're going to round up the program that we've been going through for the last couple of weeks, almost months, with my very experienced history savvy, Smaug's cousin, fire-breathing lizard, one of my good friends from the Saturday Night Hypnosis panel. But before we dive into today's episode, let me welcome everybody. Welcome back to the COACHMC studio. This is the place where we help you creators, performers, entertainers, creative hats out there to really, shape unique behavior deliveries, kind of present something that is intriguing, compelling, and interesting inside of the audition, whatever audition that is and wherever this audition room might be. Because like I said, it's not only for actors, it's for performers, for artists, for creative minds in general. This channel is there to spark new ideas, to get old information, to kind of look through ancient history, to resources, and get everything that might be useful in the quest for the holy grail of success and self-development and acknowledgement, right? And so therefore, welcome everybody to the channel. Today, like I said, we have another epic episode of Greek mythology. We started back in the days where everything was still dark and full of chaos, right? And we fleshed out the whole Greek mythology world, coming to a final conclusion, not a final conclusion, but let's say to the, to one of the biggest apex of Greek mythology, which is, of course, the Battle of Troy. So without any further ado, let's jump in today's open class doodle and let's see what's cooking. And, I don't want to hold in back too long. He's already flapping and flying in the background. He's already trying to break his chain. So welcome, everybody, to the show. Dragon Slayer Commentaries, thank you so much for being with us today.
Hey, I'm always glad to be here. Yeah, it's a slightly different appearance, guys. It's because I didn't feel like pulling out the stinking webcam, okay? I just did it for the fancy background. So you get the profile picture, and that way you can tell if I'm talking or not. Because
this is
I'm sure,
luxury, man. I don't have that. It's great stuff,
man.
Yeah,
now you know when I'm talking.
We got Annie Boo in the chat. Hello, Lorenzo. Great to see you again. How are you? No, we are great. Thank you so much for asking. Also, welcome to the chat, to all the viewers out there. Welcome to Facebook, to the Instagram crowd as well. Jump over to YouTube, guys. Come over to this beautiful channel and subscribe and hit the like button, because today is gonna be epic. We're gonna, of course, try to condense it as much as we can, but I'm afraid this is gonna be our longest episode so far, because of course we're gonna take a short look back also at the drawings that I did for these shows and kind of resume everything that happened very quickly, and then we jump in what it could be defined as the interstellar battle. Don't you agree? Like, this is the universal war.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's kind of oh man, this is like the story that just ends it all, like ends the mythical age, basically. It opens the pathway for the boring world that mankind, especially the Greeks, were so like melancholy of. But it's the war to end all mythical wars. I don't know. I was trying to come up with something fancy there, but yeah.
But it is the all mythical, all legendary, and all universal world war, and it can't. Can you see Mary? Hey, Chad, what's up?
Hey.
Nice to have you here as well.
What's
Very
up?
Cool to have you. What's
up?
This is
a freaking screen.
This is nice. We're so nice to our audience, to our chat. Why we have to behave this way? I don't know. The cool thing about the Battle of Troy and why it's still relevant, in my opinion, why like you said, it's kind of blurry, because if you look back to ancient history, this is where the modern account starts, right? This is where actually what we have, like, this is everything that we have in more recent history that can be, can be accounted for which we have evidence, kind of starts, or is one of the starting points, is the Battle of Troy, because we have uncovered the actual, or the allegedly historic actual site. So that means that part of the mythological tale somehow, right, is also part of the narration, of course. And some of the stuff is absolutely fantastic. So do we believe the fantastic stuff, or do we kind of, throw that away? Or are we keeping just the terrestrial stuff? I mean, how do we separate fantasy from reality, actually? Oh, this was a question to you, because I feel like it's very interesting. No,
I think I muted myself by accident.
I'm sorry. No, because
that
with
was
the
me.
walls of Troy, there's basically, you block off mythology from the more recent accounts, right? But if you really look into the story, like we will do today, and this is why I'm super excited about today's episode, you will actually find a lot of stuff where you think, wait a second, what is a god then? If these people fought alongside the Trojans and the Greeks and the Spartans, and if gods were amongst them, it's like, so, I mean, what does that tell us?
Are we going to go there, Coach? Or are we going to hold back a little?
Okay, we're going to hold back a little. But I'm just throwing stuff out there that makes this whole program.
I see what you did there. Okay, I see what you did.
Hi, Lorenzo. Welcome back with another video. Is the drawing behind you for the episode of today? No, that was the 36 Chambers of Success. You can check it out, Serena. It's on the channel. Wow. It's an open class doodle. It was about Shaolin tactics that you can apply to business and to creativity.
What was that in a prior stream that you did? I feel like I've seen that drawing somewhere.
I think so.
Like that drawing looks oddly familiar. I can't believe you made such a huge drawing, dude. That's amazing.
It's pretty big. And then the other one was the masterclass. What should I do? I mean, to me, these doodles, they're the perfect, because I can speak also visually. It's not just my voice that is annoying, and I don't want to just throw consonants and vowels to people. An image sometimes speaks more than 100 words.
That is true. Yeah, that is true.
How are you doing? You're good? You're good? You feel well?
Yeah, dude.
Is life treating you well, man?
Yeah. Hey, everything's working super well. Everything's going really nice and smooth, but in terms of video making, things have gotten way much smoother. I at least know what I want to cover now. I'm not trying to figure out what's the next piece of content. I literally have Last Airbender, then Damsel, then I can probably say this here because it's the name of a movie, but the Magical Negroes movie. Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh
yeah. I am actually So unless I find it on the high seas, I'm gonna have to actually go to a theater and watch it. But I'll do it on the day I'm off work because I just now found out about it. So it's a good excuse to go outside. Holy Christ! Pray for me. I might go insane.
Yes, I believe it's really bad. You will go insane with this drawing. By the way, this was how everything started, ladies and gentlemen. This was the first stage that we covered with Dragon Slayer commentaries. Open class doodle. I don't know, man. Was that 11?
I think it was 11 or 10, something like that.
Somewhere around there. Yeah, you will find it, guys. It's there. It's the playlist. It's on YouTube, and
it's in the library.
It's in the library. Subscribe to this awesome dragon. Right, he's a real dragon. Were you born in Moria, or were you born? Where did you hatch from the egg, actually?
Oh, I don't know. Somewhere maybe in the what's a good area? Maybe somewhere in the Withered Heath. Far up in the north where the cold drakes reside. Yeah. That's a reference for you Middle Earth fans. No, but for real, it's been crazy how we've gotten this far. Oh my God! Wait a minute, Coach. We have to say we got a special one here in the chat today. We got the
transitioning ideologist, libertarian, white neck. It's beautiful.
What the heck? He's here.
Finally. Finally.
There we go. First,
he comes to save the day.
Yes, man. Now it's Leon.
Thank you so much for being here. Here is also Annie Ertz. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hey, chat, you guys are on fire today already. We have a couple of likes, actually 4 likes. Hey, Lorenzo PATANÈ, who's that guy? Whether I'm the coach or that's it. I'm just a coach, guys. Thanks for your answer, Lorenzo. I didn't really answer, did I? No.
Did we answer?
That was.
What's the question? The drawing. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, of course.
And hi, Cannoli. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Cannoli? Hey, Cannoli, come over. Let's do an open class doodle. I wanna. Let's do a Sicilian round, like we said. I'm sorry, Dragon Slayer. That one you have to miss because you're a dragon. You're not from Sicily, even though we have volcanoes.
My ancestors are from Spain. Actually, no, my great grandparents are from Spain. Does that count? Is that good enough?
You know what? Because I want to do a Sicilian stream with Copa and Cannoli, and maybe we vote, and then we let you in as our little, phoenix.
The honorary member.
The honorary member that just breathes fire once.
Yeah, it just gets thrown in at the end, so they can like put the check boxes like Hollywood.
Okay. Oh, of course. Right. Leon, Birds of Paradise. I'll be cooking dinner soon and needed some true intellectuals to listen to while I make culinary art.
Ooh, okay. Well,
what you got there as a recipe today? Meat. I know a lot of meat, but
butter and meat. No, I'm just kidding.
You chat, you don't know, but I don't know. He doesn't really post them on Twitter officially. We sometimes get pictures from his food, laboratory experiments, right? What he does there. And so,
laboratory experiments? Oh, God.
It looks nice. Some of the meat, of the dinner, he's a good cook, guys. Words of Paradise, he's versatile. His fingers are fast.
Oh my. Oh, my.
He brings the cannolis. 5 likes. What is happening today? Is crazy. Chat is on fire. Thank you so much.
I don't know, but we got quite the crowd today. And
all right, should we satisfy them with some intellectual?
Yes.
Should we, beef?
Oh, you're going Korean. Okay. Ooh, okay, you're going
fried
Korean.
Vegetables to go. So, Words of Paradise, beef bulgogi. Is that the beef bulgogi? And there will be stir-fried vegetables to go with it. And for the folks that don't eat only meat, of course, some vegetables that are fried. Yeah, that's so nice of you. I'm good with meat. I love meat.
Yeah, I do too, bro. But
you had meat recently? I had today.
I had pork belly. Does that count?
No, it's not meat. No, pork belly is super vegan. No, it's not meat.
What? No. Oh shit, man.
So you had true fat. Beautiful.
Yes. I know the bliss of like oversaturated fat on meat. It's amazing, especially if it's seasoned. But before I get into it,
Erica is from Rimini. We have people from Italy. Italia, che belli che siete qui. Thanks for being here. Annie is from Belgium, so we have Italy, we have Belgium.
Okay.
We got this.
It's getting good.
It's getting good.
Yeah, sir. But now before we go off track, because I know I'm the tangent king.
We become true intellectuals that spill some info beans and not some stupid stuff like right now. Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show. Yeah. Ding, 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 ding. No, not like that. But I did want to say, to answer your question, Coach, regarding the ruins of Troy. Right. I do find it very interesting that people talk about that a lot, in regards to the whole idea that, for the longest time, people thought it was a myth, that, people were just kind of shrugged off about it, like, oh, it's fascinating, but it's a fantasy, let it go.
Yes.
And until one guy found it, until one guy, they all said, you
Professor
idiot.
Schliemann, Schliemann, yeah.
Schliemann? Oh, so Schliemann.
Yeah, and he fought his biography, by all means, if you can get some infos, it's very fascinating. He fought against, of course, the institutions in academia that didn't believe him, that he was one of the first. Wasn't actually one of the first. It kind of was it was a theme that came back. There was already in the 16th and 17th century, there was amongst scientists, there was a firm belief that mythology was actually true, but that kind of through, the humanitarian, and 18th century was kind of suppressing those ideas, and then in
The Age of
19th
Reason.
century,
Just say the Age of Reason.
Thank you.
It's it's from the Renaissance period that this all originated from. The end of the day, but
yes,
yeah. Yeah.
Please.
No. What I was trying to say is like, people say that a lot. About like, okay, well, eventually the city was discovered, or the foundations of the city that are still being dug. By the way, they haven't gotten to the bottom yet. They believe that.
And they're not continuing really fast. It's taking so long, which is weird. With Göbekli Tepe, right? They're super slow.
Well, Göbekli Tepe, from what I've heard. Oh, right. Wait. Let's not go too far off track now.
Yes,
we gotta give people some context. So, with Troy, everybody eventually, for those of you that are not aware, I guess, it turned out to be a real life city. Like it really existed. Now, as for the legend of Homer, just like the man himself, the supernatural elements that involving the gods or the supernatural demigods, that sort of thing. That one is still up for debate, obviously. But people always said like, oh, the city is quite old, but it's not like super old. These stories that they talk about with the war, they're supposed to be like a time before 14th, like the current age of man.
15th century,
before the age of supposedly before the age of Homer's time, so it's supposed to be like a really old tale. So
Homer, place Homer in between 13th and 8th century BC, right?
Yes.
So this is roughly, because we don't really
we have no idea.
We have no idea. So the funny thing here is, in the beginning in the 19th century, so again, in the 16th century, it was actually accepted. 15th, 16th, 17th century, people really believed mythology existed. Then the idea with the Age of Reason, of course, right? La République and all this stuff, right? All these kingdoms got rid of their kings and got, and now voted for parties, and now, industry was coming up, and all of a sudden we had republics and not kingdoms anymore. So the idea that mythology could be a real thing was of course neglected, because it wasn't a child of its time. It wasn't very contemporary with the new style of government, right? With kingdoms where kings claim that they have like celestial ancestors, the idea that mythology could be like a real thing, of course, was accepted, because it was serving the raison d'être, like the French say, right? The reason to be there in the first place. If you have like celestial ancestors, nobody's going to dispute your authority. But all of a sudden, we have a republic where the king doesn't count that much anymore. So we have to tell the audience and the mass and the people that mythology, of course, is just fantasy. It's just stupid stuff, doesn't really exist. Until we started finding, incredible stuff, especially the city of Troy. Now, with the city of Troy, what people sometimes get wrong, and it's not really getting wrong. The thing is that it's how they talk about it is very one-sided. Of course, they just focus on the physical battle, or most of the time. Even if you go to universities, they will tell you, yes, the Allies were this, and there was like 10-year battle, and we have to reason to believe why there was 10-year. And they focus a lot on, because we have remains of weapons that we found in the area. That's very fascinating. So they focus actually on 0.1% of the stuff that is truly like explosive about this tale. Because on the other hand, the Battle of Troy is not just a battle that just got started like this. Homer and other philosophers and writers from that era, and also accounts, tell us clearly the battle was artificially brought into place by the gods. Zeus wanted this battle to happen because he wanted human demise. And this is not the first time we hear this, that the gods were against the humans or were kind of upset about their importance, right? Because they created them as slaves in the first place. And then the demigods got attracted by them. Even the real gods got attracted by them, and they started interacting with them, and they started actually appreciating them, right? So this is all something that shouldn't have happened. And so Zeus planned the Battle of Troy as a final catalyst to wipe down human civilization. And it was almost like 25 years in the making. So this strategy of bringing the Battle of Troy to to this final showdown of coming to that is actually coming from above, and it's not human at all. There is no account that tells us, it was because two kings kind of fought against each other. There's always this reoccurring tale that it was him that orchestrated everything, the big guy with the lightning bolt in his hand.
No, yeah. I always thought it was
I find this fascinating. I don't know.
It is fascinating, because the whole concept of primordial gods or beings that gave birth to everything. But in relation to Troy, when people found out that the city actually existed, then the first question that arose is, well, how old is it? Now, you have to understand that the layers that they found at the time were not the earliest period layers, if you will. A lot of these very ancient cities, even the ones that we're well aware of, all we can see out of them are just the latest layers we have uncovered, but most likely due to natural events or erosion or whatever, or the passage, just general passage of time.
Right.
Sometimes the older layers that can give more clues as to how truly old a site is hidden. And with Troy, I will say that they were trying very hard to speed up digging out everything as fast as possible, because they had theorized it was an older layer in the city that would have made it considerably older. Like we're talking like 14,000 years or older. And would have
maybe we
probably
want to really quick explain for those who are not as savvy as you're, like, how can we, there's of course carbon dating, but carbon dating is very, it's problematic with stone, unless you have any organic residuals that are, somehow in the cracks of the stone to be found, on which you could say, okay, but otherwise, sometimes it is the layer. Geographically, there is a certain way to date layers. When you dig holes in the ground, there are certain layers that are reoccurring on planet Earth. That is actually, like, we could cover a whole episode about that, because super fascinating. And so you can tell how much, similar to the rings of a tree, when you cut a tree and then you see the rings that are kind of
it's a reverberating whirlpool. It's like,
and so you know how old the tree is by counting rings. And here, similar, when you are digging into the ground, you can count the ages by kind of determining which layer you are hitting. And so therefore you have a pretty good way, roughly, right, to kind of just make a certain, which is usually it's a very conservative dating, right? So they can tell you, hey, starting from this layer, it should be something 5,000, to 3,500 BC. Lower than that, it's 7,500 to 5,000. Lower than that. And so usually these are very conservative datings. And so even the most conservative datings give Troy, and also Göbekli Tepe, which is also in Turkey, right? Very interesting. A lot of that Greek mythology stuff about the Greeks is actually playing in Turkey.
Yeah.
And nowadays Turkey.
It's funny because I mean, like, if you want to pull up like just a visual of Göbekli Tepe so people can understand this.
What's up, Dungeon Master Blaster?
Yeah, how's it going, Dungeon?
It was love the subject. Yeah. Good. Thanks for
always
joining
here, bro.
us. We're always here.
We're always here to talk about these things. But one thing that I found interesting about there you go. Yeah, it's quite an interesting archaeological find, because it's the only one that has proven modern archaeology wrong, and has pissed off so many of them that they have to admit that, like, even the Egyptologists are so pissed off that they're
yes, of course, they lost their
especially
status, right? And what's the name of the Egyptology Institute who also runs the Chiron with the crazy guy?
What's
he's
his
like
name?
For 50 years cannibalizing the...
What's his name?
What's
the title they give him? What's the name?
He is the minister for Egyptology, I think, something like that, or the
minister of Egyptian antiquity. I think this is
Egyptian antiquity.
No, it's not Ahmed Isa. It's
no.
I think it's Sameh Shukri. Is this Sameh Shukri? I forget. One of those two. Yeah.
that's super cool. Here, look
Ooh.
what Dungeon Master Blaster did. Yeah, I wrote a paper also, and I have a book about Schliemann's excavations of Troy and Crete. Super interesting stuff. Schliemann, very, very interesting person. Really interesting.
No, I will say this. Oh no, there we go. I found this bastard. Okay, this guy is
You
so
can upload
annoying.
his face.
Like,
Don't worry, he's truly annoying.
No, he is like. I'll share this. I'll share this screenshot.
Sure.
Let me just pull it up first. Let me pull up like a picture of his mug so everybody can see him.
Basically hindering any time, like not really any. It's just anything
The Egyptian,
that kind of anything that deviates from the time being that the pyramids can't be older than, let's say, 4000 BC.
Actually,
like
wait,
anything,
hold on. Let me do this first. Like, keep talking about him. But
sure.
Look,
And
chat, I'll show it to you in a second. Sorry, I just realized I could probably make it bigger.
He's slow. He's a dragon. What do you want? He weighs
no,
hundreds of tons, guys.
I know slow. I fast. Look, I got it here. Here, I know slow. I fast. Here it is.
Zahi Havaz. He was faster than you. Zahi Havaz. Yes, that's it.
Zahi Havaz, bro.
Zahi Havaz.
Yes.
He's crazy. He's crazy. He's a character.
Yeah, so he's a Havaz. I'll say this, like, we might need to show him on the screen. Because, like...
Yes. Yeah, please.
Yeah. I already put it on screen share, by the way. It's just sitting there. But
where is it?
Yeah, I just put it on screen share. Yeah, I'm sharing a window. Yeah. Okay. So, guys, I do want to mention, right? So, with Zahi Hawass,
it's all nice to have you here, man.
Yeah.
Super amigos, sorry I'm late now. El Otaku, aka the Wee Pillar.
Hello, V-Man. We're going to call you that because your profile looks like a V. Anyway.
It's the flying V. No,
yes.
It's over here. Yeah, here we go.
There is Zahi Hawass. So for all of those that don't, that don't know who this guy is.
He's funny, though. I mean,
he's hilarious.
He's hilarious.
Yeah. He's quite, let me put it, let me give him his credit, okay? I'm going to act like a little bit like Leon here because it's true, okay?
Leon needs to defend
No. I want you to understand. No. I want you to understand, okay, that while this guy is an asshole, he is quite knowledgeable. Okay, he is actually quite knowledgeable what he talks about. It's just that he is very, unfortunately, closed off to the possibility that there are much older ruins buried under the sands, and because the government doesn't want to like excavate further, we can't figure anything out. That's in the Egyptology side, and they also
So what's the part of that? You got my stutter down. Well played. Well played.
There you go.
Yeah, well played.
Yeah.
No, but the thing of the problem that we have, we could also do an open class doodle about that, is the scavenger chronology. We have high guests today. What is happening? Hypnotic is here.
I summoned them here because they were
gays. Thank you.
Hello, Homo Lord.
Hey, bigot mistake. Homo. The Tangent Kings salute the Homo Lord.
You better make that like a secondary title right now. Hypnotic Homo Lord.
I love that.
Oh, man. You'll get so many rainbow flags on Pride Week. On Pride Month. What is that shit?
Oh, please.
That's in like 2 months.
Let's not talk about
right.
Anyway,
antiquity.
Yes.
So this guy...
we have a problem with just the scavenger chronology. Right. I think we should explain this. Of course, he's biased. Of course, he's not a good guy. Yes, or like his intentions are very blurry. Let's say it this way. I have never met him personally, but the stories that I read through all the other books where people talk about collaborating with him, it's just a shit show sometimes. But the problem is that he is chained and bound, or at least he has that very strong alibi of being chained and bound to the academic world that represents the scavenger chronology. So there is no way that you can escape from Scaliger or Darwin on this planet, academically speaking, right? You can't escape from the chronology, so how time is played out. Even Newton said that chronology is rubbish. Newton, all right? He said it. It's like that chronology, it doesn't add up. Formolenko and Gauss, I think there are like many great historians and magicians that have refused to accept that Scaliger chronology. But the problem is, it's common academia. You have to kind of press your timeline of your country and all of the findings that you have into that box, that narrow box, into that narrow scavenger chronology window. Otherwise, they're gonna laugh at you and you won't be accepted, and you don't get the grants, you don't get the Benjamins, baby, you don't get the UNESCO visiting and bringing money,
you don't get the documentary presentation. Dude,
so
you know what
no
that
money,
reminded
no
me
history.
of? Yeah, you know what that reminded me of, though? It's like it gave me like a flashback of the Alexander and Cleopatra show reviews. Like when I was making them, I was watching those two shows and I realized that a lot of the historians they bring in, they know what they're talking about, but just in general, when you want them to talk, it feels like they're so guarded, like they're afraid that if somebody proves them wrong in the fact that, hey, maybe our history is much older. Maybe the name Atlantis was not his actual name. It's just a made-up name the Greeks made, but maybe the actual society they're talking about existed because Göbekli Tepe, and there again, these are theories, but it's turning out more and more to be true. Göbekli Tepe was an observatory, an astrological observatory that was created long ago. Historians overall don't know who it was that created the observatory, but it was an astrological observatorium. So basically, the whole purpose of it is for an experienced astrologer to look at the movement of the stars and basically be able to predict such things as, believe it or not, natural disasters.
Yes, also,
or at least give an estimate of when will happen.
Therefore, very quick before we jump into the beautiful, sometimes when we say things like that, right? Also on Saturday Night Hypnosis, we sometimes talk about all the, the ancient knowledge. And so sometimes it feels like, the ancients, they had like these incredible powers. Actually, if you, again, look into the layers, geographically, you can prove through the layers that there were, reoccurring events of catastrophic and global proportions that were coming back at a certain given date, that there's some sort of a rhythm, there's some sort of like a reoccurring pattern that you can kind of trace back also through the data that you receive, written, but also through the data that you receive while just digging, right? Just by analyzing the soil. So these people were not so much predicting, but they were just studying their past as well, and they could tell, all right, every 2,000 years there is a passing of certain constellation, therefore there seems to be some sort of an energetic disruption. They were just using metaphors to describe those energetic disruptions, stuff that we are now scientifically can just explain. But in the end, it was very accurate stuff, and that is what's so amazing about these buildings, right? Even sometimes if they look rough or rugged, but nonetheless, they were incredibly precise.
Yeah, and did you hear about... Okay, I'll be quick about this, like super quick.
He always says he's quick, guys.
Don't do that. Hypno and Leon are here. They're going to fucking pile drive me on that shit. So they're going... So one thing I noticed is that a lot of legit archaeologists are talking about, kind of in a quiet voice, as usual for now, that a lot of these buildings like Stonehenge, Göbekli Tepe, the pyramids, fuck you, Hypno, I saw that comment.
Whoa. Always me. Yes.
Hey, no. Words. God damn it. Why you do that?
I would have a very nasty...
comments. No, don't tell that. Leon, the deviant. No, so
it's incredible. What if...
Oh my god. No, so there you go. Yeah. For those of you in Coach's Facebook audience that don't know what is going on with these two crazy bastards, they're in our they're in a Saturday live stream that we join as well. And over there we talk about all the insane topics of whatever occurred that week regarding pop culture, and sometimes in the video game sphere, but mostly it's in pop culture, like movies, TV shows, that sort of thing. So they're making references to that sort of stuff, but also stuff that we say in our little chat. So if you see some random things and you hear us laughing, don't worry, laugh with us, even if you have no idea what it is, because.
But before you jump
insane.
into our live sessions,
Yes.
watch all the replays, watch all the old shows, because you really, it's not just to kind of drive viewership up, it's to understand our level of insanity. It's just to kind of, grasp the insanity that we cultivate every Saturday for 1.5 years now, guys. We
almost 2 years, actually, probably almost 2 years. Yeah,
almost 2 years.
It's crazy. But just to like get back on topic, a lot of these structures that were built long ago, like Stonehenge, for example, Göbekli Tepe, even there's a theory about the Great Pyramids of Egypt, like a lot of, and even the Mayan pyramids and the Aztec pyramids, a lot of the pyramidal structures, I should say, all over the world, all of these were built with massive stone boulders that were placed in such a way that you cannot even fit a tiny piece of a feather through the cracks because it's so perfectly fit. Like it's
not
cut,
even
it's perfect.
That
paper,
couldn't fit that in. Which is so whether you have polymer structures, so structures that were casted, which is amazing as well. It's not even less amazing, or they've been quarried, like produced, manufactured in that way, whether the one was just a fluid that hardened over time, or these were actually single blocks coming out of the quarry, like being built that way. Both things are incredible. It's cyclopean, like Dungeon Master Blast is a cyclopean architecture.
Yes,
it's cyclopic in its proportions, right? And we have the Cyclops also here, and mastodontic in its proportion. We have Malta, we have Sicily, we have Turkey, we have in part also in Greece. If you look at the fundaments of the Parthenon is actually not that old. But if you look into the older layers, Mount Parnassus, there's really ancient stuff there. And this is crazy. It's all over Europe. You have it in Spain, you have it in Morocco, of course, and everywhere. And this is why I feel, in a way, or to me, it's personally, Greek mythology is somehow, it kind of brings all that stuff together. It's the last account that kind of weaves in all the stories, and that brings us to all the places in the Mediterranean basin that really matter, that really kind of give you the idea, guys, right? This is where the magic happens. You have to look into those places, right? Dig there, search for the answers there. You will find stuff. And Lord and behold, like I said, in the 19th century, academia refused and rebuked all these ideas. In the 18th century, no, we don't go there. Now we have the raison d'être. We don't believe in mythology anymore. And more sites now are popping up that are corresponding again to these incredible tales from Homer, or allegedly the author that we call Homer. And the last episode, what we covered, basically we talked about. This was the second one. The Odyssey by Odysseus, right? Odysseus and his Odyssey. I think that was the second episode that we covered. We are talking about the 10 years this poor guy was away in the Mediterranean, right? And where was he coming from?
And I want to tell you something interesting. So
sure.
I did look up like just a general meaning of the name Homer, right?
Yes.
Now, it seems to have come originally from the word omeros, which basically means, in simple terms, hostage, but also means security and pledge. So you could say whoever this individual who got the name of Homer may have been a temporary hostage at one point, but then eventually did not become the hostage, and then pledged to tell a tale for the safety of whoever may have been. Again, me saying these things, but I do find it interesting that that name has triple meaning, but hostage is the main meaning, considering he is a writer and a poet claiming to talk about a time before the Age of Iron. I believe this is what the Age of Iron, for those of you that don't know, is it's an age that a lot of Greek scholars claim to be basically the time period that they were living in, that mankind was living in. So like a very heavily devolved state of humanity where there are no gods don't intervene anymore. There's no demigods. Everything is shit.
darkness.
basically,
It's Sauron,
yeah,
basically, right?
it's
It's Sauron.
basically if Sauron took over everything and then turned
Yeah.
into Hitler. Basically, that's how they thought about it.
Yeah.
Like I know it sounds crazy, but
But
you
the
know, with these
thing
Ice
is,
Age. Oh, sorry, was it?
no.
Oh, mm,
Hesiod
what?
wrote about it. Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah. The
yeah,
thing
yeah. Uh-huh.
the thing that is very interesting again is
Mhm.
not only do we have these accounts, not only are we finding more and more buildings, not only do we see the precision. Well, sometimes okay, I can tell, I can accept the fact sometimes, or the argument that it could be also coincidental sometimes, when buildings are kind of laid down to a certain constellation or something. Okay, there are many constellations, so yeah. But the thing is, there are certain constellations that are always reoccurring, that will always come back. There are certain alignments of these buildings that are present, right, as a pattern. And all these buildings all around the globe, they share that unique signature. And now if you jump into, let's say, the Victorian neo-Renaissance style, right, which they claim is also from the 19th century, and that you can find all over the globe, whether that's Russia or it's somewhere in Argentina, you can find it in the United States, you can find it pretty much everywhere, in Australia and India. And that to me is also like a very interesting point, that grand unified architecture, similar to Greek mythology. All these points somehow align, where all people, all cultures, all civilizations seem to share a common signature in architecture, in style, in ornamentation, all that. And isn't that weird that we have every epoch or so, we find these incredible globe spanning similarities amongst those cultures that on a time level shouldn't even be connected with each other, or culturally shouldn't be connected. They shouldn't even know from each other, for what it's worth. I mean, in the Battle of Troy, we will discover that Amazonians fought with the Trojans. Amazonians and Lycians. I mean, this was stuff that was just written in mythological tales. Nobody believed that there was actually an Amazon tribe but it's coming back and back. So was there maybe already a connection in the ancient time to other continents? Was there maybe a connection in terms of culture where everybody shared the same traits? Because a lot of what we discover in Greek mythology, we also find then later in the Bible. Right? There's a lot of stuff
that is interesting.
Right?
We're not going to get into that because that's another can of worms, and I don't want Leon going, every 5 seconds. Okay,
the stutter is perfect. You have studied him quite well.
Yeah, I know. I am very good at studying people.
Should we start with the Battle of Troy, or should we again rant another 45 minutes about how inaccurate academia is?
Oh boy. Well, no. I am going to say look up sound vibrational technology or crystal vibrational technology. Those two terms, guys. Look that up, and then look up all the mythological histories regarding
I think we have
how
at least
a lot of these
4 open class doodles this year that we have to cover with all these crazy topics.
Oh shit! Yeah, we probably should. We probably talk about that one at another point. But yeah, let's get started with this damn battle, because I think
so. We left with Odysseus, who came, who traveled after winning the Battle of Troy, but we actually haven't explored the Battle of Troy itself, which is very fascinating and as a topic, because, like I said in the intro, most historians, most academia, but also the movies, they focus alone on the battle and on the physical dispute, and of course on the clash, which is fascinating. But what I would love to kind of focus on tonight with you, Dragonslayer, and I know you are a very knowledgeable guy who just pretends to be superficial and an asshole and drunk all the time. No. There is so much depth to you.
That was one day, okay. I was still quite sane, okay, but yeah.
No, but you know what I mean. It's like I'm on the same page with you guys. You have no idea, Dungeon Master. Like, oh, beautiful, nice.
Oh yes,
that's good. That's good.
That's
no,
good.
but what I like to focus on is the incredible web of conspiracies and false flag attacks and interesting deceptional moves that Zeus planned executed and controlled throughout these 25 years of time, ramping up to the Battle of Troy. Because it has been said, we covered this in the first episode, right? It's been said from the beginning, Zeus was angry at us. We were too powerful. He didn't want us to be so nice, so fair, so shiny. And he did everything to kind of, also take away light from us. Like Prometheus was giving us light and reason and intelligence, right? And he kind of, destroyed all the lands and brought an incredible flood with the help of his brother Poseidon to man, because he didn't want us to be enlightened. So Zeus was always against about us kind of standing up and being, so reasonable and so inventive and so beautiful and so interesting, right? So the golden age went into the Bronze Age, and from the Bronze Age we went into the Silver Age, right? And Zeus kind of, throughout eons of time, did everything. He brought on the Great Flood, like I said, right? And the only one who survived was Pyrrha and Deucalion, who was a son of, the brother of Prometheus, all that stuff. So that was fascinating to me. And his lust or his thirst for wiping out us humans could never be satisfied. And so when everything seemed calm, right? Odysseus came, that was later, but everything seemed calm, ramping up to Troy. The gods were somehow back in balance. Human civilization was thriving. We had those three great kingdoms of Sparta, Athens, and Troy, with the indestructible walls that were built by the gods. It's very interesting. And so therefore, everything was actually calm. And this is when Zeus started to plan his vengeance against us. So welcome everybody to the universal war of Troy, where we have as main actors the kingdom of Sparta, the kingdom of Athens, the kingdom of Troy, and of course the gods. So what happened? Now, first of all, Troy was the strongest, right? It's in Turkey, so it's up above Greek, the Greece Empire, the Greek Empire in the Mediterranean. And the Trojans back then, this is Helen of Troy, the most beautiful woman that lived in antiquity, according to Homer. And so the Trojans were actually a very strong kingdom, very strong population, and their king Priam and their queen Hecuba, they were loved by their people, highly venerated and loved. And they were very busy. They had 50 sons and 50 daughters. Something happened to Dragon's Lair. What happened? All right. Oh, sure. Okay. Don't worry, my friend. Don't worry. We'll be here. And one of the sons of Priam and Hecuba was, of course, Hector, the champion of Troy, or the most powerful, also very beloved by his people. And there was Cassandra, which I think she was the last daughter of Hecuba. And she was the prophet. She could see into the future. And she was so beautiful as well that Apollo one day fell in love with her. And she refused his offers and didn't want to kind of mingle with him. And so therefore, enraged and angry at her, he cursed her so nobody would believe her prophecies anymore in the future, because she refused to lay with him, right? And so this particular fact right now is going to be playing out later on. So kind of remember that. 6 likes. The chat is burning today. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Hey, what happened, man? Yeah, that's good.
Goddamn browser disconnected my mic from the stream, and then
the chat was clapping and saying, "No, leave him out." I said, "No, man, it's Dragon's Lair." People on Facebook finally like, "No, it's part of the show, guys."
Like that time I said, hey, I love RPGs, but I never played Final Fantasy. Him just kicked me out faster than I could blink.
Yes.
Oh man,
I remember that, man. That was funny.
By the way, is this like the new drawing? I never even got to see it.
I'm sorry.
I didn't get to see it.
This is
it disconnected.
I'm sorry. So this is the new drawing.
It's amazing.
I will finish it
Yeah.
up. I will make, but because it was so busy this
Yeah.
week. But I think the characters came out pretty well. This is Helen,
Wait,
of course.
you said you whipped this out on like this
Yeah,
was a rush job?
yeah, this was a rush job. I'm sorry.
Hypno. Leon, you heard the man. This was a rush job. If we
Yeah,
gave
it
him
was
more
very-
time, we could have sold this stinking drawing for like $200,000 to some artsy person and said it came from Picasso.
Yeah, if you give me more time, it would look like a bit more like the first one, right? But
Ooh.
yeah.
What
I
part
will
are we in, by the
definitely-
way? I need to like figure this out. Like, how
No,
far
no,
are we go into the story?
I was just presenting the whole web of conspiracies that Zeus, kind of
Oh,
spanned
yes.
over. I mean, you were absent there already, yeah. So,
Yeah, because the story I had to like relog and everything. But I do
Right.
know from like the history that Zeus, as Coach stated many times, this guy was
he
the
was
biggest.
not happy with us.
Yeah, no, he's like the biggest like deadbeat asshole dad in history, or mythological history at least. This
Yes.
dude saw a pretty woman, okay, and just said, I am going all in. If you have a kid, too bad, I'm out. And then
Right.
and then if that kid was pretty good at something, then he's like, oh, hello, son. I'm actually your
Yeah.
dad, and you're
I'm
a
actually
god."
your dad. I love you. You never
Yeah.
forget that. It's like
Yeah.
you've been away all the time, right? Yeah, but I didn't
Yeah.
know that you are actually good at something. So now I want to think like Homer and everybody else is depicting Zeus in a very despicable way. And we know that Zeus, of course, is the Greek word of Deus, which is then the Latin word for Dio, which is then, of course, God. So Zeus is the Old Testament God. There is
Oh,
no
what
doubt
about
about it.
Jesus? Jesus is Zeus.
Is
For people
Zeus,
don't know that
right.
the word Jesus,
Christo.
yeah,
Yes.
it didn't become widely used in Christianity until the mid 16th century. Before that, it
Yes,
was
it's-
Zeus, which was a Roman word invented by Constantine that basically meant "Hail Zeus."
Hell Zeus. It means,
Yeah.
hey, God.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Christos is nothing else as the one who's anointed with the oil.
Yeah.
Everybody was a Christos. It's absolutely not
Yeah.
one special
Royalty
specific,
specifically.
right, exactly.
Like it was
therefore-
meant to signify, like, okay, we're not going to go into that, but
No.
just to say that
I think she
he's not a
summed
good
it up
dude.
nicely.
Yeah.
Zeus was not a good dude. Thank you, Candizi. Sometimes,
Yeah.
we speak, but this is the way of
Yeah.
focusing our material here. Absolutely. He was not a good dude. And so over
Have we
25
gotten to-
years, he created this
Yeah.
incredible conspiracy. He wanted
yes.
the human demise. He wanted us to wipe us, out once and forever. So he thought about it because in the beginning, he kind of, he switched off the light and Prometheus gave us light. So he brought the flood and somehow, Pyrrha and Deucalion, they kind of gave us life again. So we always, nature finds its way back, like Jeff Goldblum says, right, in Jurassic Park. So Zeus wanted to end this once and forever. I said, okay, I have to let them fight against each other. This is a good idea. So what did he do? So we have the Trojans here. They were actually good folks. They were living behind their indestructible walls that were built by the gods. And, like I said, King Priam and Hecuba had 50 sons, 50 daughters. Cassandra, who was cursed by Apollo later. I already explained that. And, of course, Hector, the great Hector, who was champion of Troy. And his wife was... Andromache, and Astyanax was his son, right? And they were beloved. So everything was fine with Troy. Troy was a nice town, was very powerful, one of those great three kingdoms. And now something happens that we will have also as an echo happening in the Bible and in other holy books, right? The queen has a nightmare. Hecuba has this nightmare where she dreams of Paris, one of her sons, bringing destruction to Troy and to mankind, right? In another version of the Iliad and where we have the Battle of Troy, the dream was brought by Zeus himself. There are some other some stories about that. So it seems like he wanted Hecuba to believe that Paris was the one who brings destruction to Troy and not the god himself. But nonetheless, Hecuba does the same thing that happens to Moses and that happens also, in many Old Testament sagas. She brings her son to a shepherd and tells the shepherd, hey, you take care of him. There's another version where the shepherd was actually told to sacrifice the kid, and then he had mercy on him, and then he raised him with himself. There's another story where the shepherd kind of, kicks the boy out, and then he goes to another shepherd and gets raised by him. But, fact of the matter is Paris became a shepherd and was kind of, exiled from the kingdom without actually knowing. And he thought he would be a shepherd for his entire life, right? And nothing else. And so,
poor kid, he had no idea what was coming for him, did he?
He had no
And you know what, Leon? I'll tell you this. All his problems, it started with women that were looking for him that he was not looking for. And man, it screwed him over hard.
No, I'm not. Words of Paradise, rightfully so, says that Zeus isn't a good comparison in the Old Testament version of the Christian God, though, as Zeus isn't the creator in Greek mythology. That's true. Technically, of course, the God that we have in the Old Testament creates earth, but never forget, he in the Hebrew version, he says that he's talking to the Elohims, right? Or to Elohim, which is a plural. In Hebrew, it's a plural term. So therefore, the Old Testament God that creates in Genesis the world and the Bible is part of a pantheon. Later on in the Old Testament, that idea gets a bit, pushed aside, and then it becomes an only patriarch. And
it's like multiple writers just, I don't know, threw whatever they thought at the time, and then somebody mishmashed it together after going like, fuck it. So I can't figure it out.
No, technically, Leon is right.
He is right about that.
But my comparison wasn't so much about the creator itself. It's about his demeanor, his behavior. Zeus.
Oh, I gave him a comparison of that. I basically said that the best comparison to, like, if you want to use I didn't make it clear though, like, if you want to go like a biblical comparison to Zeus, like Zeus would be more comparable with like earlier in the Old Testament Yahweh, because Zeus, but true. Yahweh would be more linked to like the storm god, Enlil, that sort of thing.
It's the old storm god from the Sumerians. It's more like. But in a way, they're all mixed. Again, the Bible is a syncretic work. There is not one source that contributed to the Bible. This is stated. This is a fact. So we have Egyptian sources. We have Greek sources. We have Phoenician, a.k.a. Akkadian, a.k.a. Persian, and Sumerian, a.k.a. Mesopotamian sources that went into the Bible material. Then we have the Minoans. And then also little cults like the Essenians and Nazareans. They also contributed. So there is not, this is why I'm saying in the beginning in Genesis, God is plural and he's part of the pantheon, and then it becomes a solely deity, right? And so we have that Akhenaten switch to monotheism in pretty much in a couple of lines and a couple of pages in the Bible happening.
Yeah, it basically, all righty,
gotta go. Have a great dinner, sir. Thanks so much for stopping by, man.
No, yeah, really, man. Thank you for stopping by. But I was going to say this before you left, but so what I was going to try to explain here is like the Jewish God of Christianity, if you noticed over the time of the Old Testament and even in the New Testament, when it gets replaced with Jesus and the new version of God, the way God is perceived, okay, or Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever names you want to give it. The creator of all, whatever. It's Zechariah's section. And however way it's perceived, there's always these people. It always feels like the God in question is evolving along with the society.
To fit
the needs of that society. And you got to understand, at the end of the day, this is the Bible is overall and mostly a chronological record of Jewish both real history but also myth at the same time. It's the
Yes.
record of one single people. It's like
Yes.
it's just, it would be comparable to Greek mythology but for the Jews.
Yeah,
It's just that they don't like to admit that. But then the Jews are
Yes.
like, no, we got our own thing. It's called the Torah. So then
Yeah,
they
but-
say, oh no, the New Testament is actually like the version for those cultists from ages ago that
That
kept
makes
yammering.
no sense, because even Torah,
It's confusing when you think about it.
Even if the word itself, Torah, is to Ra. So you're
Yeah.
talking about an Egyptian sun god. So
Oh Lord. Okay.
Yeah.
Back to the story.
Can you explain to me what a Chicano Hollywood is? If you guys heard of Chicano Hollywood? What is that?
Chicano Hollywood. I just looked up. It's on a website. It's what is this? Is Chicano Hollywood exists to amplify Chicano? Was that supposed to say?
Here we go.
Chicano.
We Pillar. Thank you so much, man. Chicano Hollywood is some kind of media companies that does a lot of stuff, such as music, news, masterclass, podcasts, and yeah. Now that you're
It sounds
mentioning
familiar, but like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
never,
it kind of rings a
like, seen
bell.
them.
it does.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think it's talking about more like from the acting side or something like that.
Yeah.
Which
probably.
Hercules
one?
movie?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of them. Which one? Yeah, I
Like the
wanna
old
hear
ones
that
are they're great. I love them with the stop motion effects. But also
Yeah.
even
Lou
though
Ferrigno
completely
one.
inaccurate, right? Lou Ferrigno is great, and even being completely inaccurate. But again, what is accurate? We don't have any like real sources, right? So
Yeah,
the animation
we
is
can't
also-
act like we can't act like Leon and go like we got the evidence here. We will talk about it.
No, he's not like the old Christian. No. I don't accept this argument.
No, I do not. Yeah, so like we can't do that, unfortunately.
Why do we always become Indians when we curse? That's
I don't know. No, you
it's a bit
became German.
concerning.
I became
German.
I don't know. I don't know what I became, but eventually I went to Indian. But like either way.
So
Yes.
Zeus, what is like, he thinks about, okay, how can I bring all empires to clash against each other? How can I bring them to destroy themselves, like to wipe themselves out, so I don't have to do the work anymore? Because eventually every time I kind of try to do it, something goes wrong. So now I let them do it, which is a very, very diabolical, Machiavellistic, right, type of approach, right? I don't fight against them directly. I let them fight against each other. So I don't have to do the work anymore. I just, pull the string. So what is he doing? So he travels to Sparta, disguised as a white swan, and we know his tactics, right? With Europa, we covered that in Open Class Doodles as well.
Why animals, bro? Like, it's just some weird, some kinky bastard.
What's some weird stuff? All right, like camouflaged as a white
Could
swan.
the animal be a metaphor for a vehicle? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, it's you never know. I mean, Katharina the Great from Russia, allegedly, she had this apparatus. I don't know if we should really talk about that. No, probably we shouldn't. All right, so Queen Leda from Sparta, beautiful lady, right? And she's, one of the queens of the most, powerful empires in the old known world. She gets, she gets flirted on by this white swan, and she knows of course, like that this is of course our buddy Zeus. And she lays with him, and she bears 4 children to them, 2 daughters and 2 sons, Castor and Pollux, the Dioscuri. So they are demigods, the twilight gods, they are called, and Clytemnestra and Helen. And Helen becomes the most beautiful. She becomes the MVP of queens in the Mediterranean, bitch. She becomes incredibly beautiful, right? She Castor and Pollux, they've been born.
Imagine Sydney Sweeney times 2000. Okay.
Yes.
But then, she has so. Yeah. No. But then imagine that kind of Sydney Sweeney. But then the second these powerful men get near, you have to learn how to tiptoe around them, because if you don't,
Ooh,
there's
ooh,
going to be
ooh.
a war over your tits. I'm not kidding.
No,
I'm saying it
no.
like that.
Stop
But
by
bro,
Saturday Night Hypnosis to know more about these and other groundbreaking facts. No, the thing here is that these 4 kids that were born out of 2 eggs, of course, because Queen Leda was laying with a white swan. There's another very interesting thing. If you walk by any neo-Renaissance, even in your town, even if it's in the States, and you see a swan, right, that it's kind of chiseled into the plastic of the building as an ornamentation or some sort of crest, that swan still stands for Zeus. That means this building is under the protection of God. This is what this white swan actually tells you. A lot of Freemason buildings, they have white swans inside also as paintings, or some of their prospects. They have some backdrops when they do their rituals. So a white swan is also part of their kind of initiation. So it's very interesting that this theme of the white swan, even though being 3,000 years old, is still being used today, right? So you have the white swan that takes over Queen Leda, and these 4 kids will change the fate of the Mediterranean forever. Also because Castor and Pollux, this is Remus and Remulus. Castor and Pollux are the twins of Rome, right? These are the ancestors of the founding fathers of Rome. You have Castor and Pollux. This is also the twin constellation. Now, here's one funny fact before we start. Before we restart for the third time tonight about talking about Troy.
No, it was 20th time, Coach. Come on, keep up the count. God damn it.
Now, if you would stop the zodiac circle at the meridian, right? If you stop it at its apex at the meridian over planet Earth, you have all the 12 signs over planet Earth like a disc, and you stop it at the meridian, you would have the correspondence of each zodiacal sign over the country where the empires blossom. So you have Castor and Pollux over Italy, touching Italy. You have the bull over Greece. You have the eagle Antares. You have it over the Scorpio. You have it over Egypt. It's absolutely nuts. The Virgin is over the United States. So
that's on the nose, huh?
all the zodiacal signs are corresponding to the empires that were built, underneath in the sky. So on Earth as well. So we are living that energetical copy. And also, if you look at it, the ram was, of course, the time of Moses, right? He is the ram. That was Amun-Ra. That was the time of the Egyptians. And in the precession of the equinox, if you look at, the equinox is a 26,000-year-old cycle. That's the golden or the great cycle of Plato. And so every zodiacal sign gets 30 degrees off the circle. So you have 12 signs, aka 360 degrees. And so if you kind of divide that through each sign, you have each section of one zodiacal sign is 30 degrees on the circle. And therefore, every 30 degrees represent 2,160 years. And so if you go through that precession of the equinox, you will see that for 2,100 something years, the empire of Egypt was under the sign of the ram.
Yes.
And this is where you see in Egypt, you see all these paintings, right? All these statues.
Oh, Coach, another extra fact. So ironically, in a lot of these mythologies, but especially in the ancient Sumerian and Egyptian legends, there was this belief in some of their stories that with each coming of a new zodiac age, there would be a god that would be chief over the rest for that time period, because it was their age to rule.
He was called the ruler of the Eon, because the Eon is a 2,160-year period where that zodiacal sign was reigning over Earth. And so when you stop the zodiacal circle over planet Earth at the meridian that we have right now in London and Oxford, you will see that all signs align with the empires, and they're corresponding with the epoch and their reign, which is absolutely crazy to think of, right? So after he gave birth to these 4 very important kids, Helen became super, super beautiful. and everybody, from the old, towns of Athens, of Mycenae, of Lycinia, of Troy, everybody wanted a piece of this incredible girl, of the new queen of Sparta, of Helen, right? She was just the most beautiful thing. And so at a certain point, when she was in the age of, getting married, there were a lot of suitors knocking against her door. And we have here a couple of those very famous suitors, suitors that wanted a piece of Helen, that wanted to marry her. This is our Odysseus that we have covered in our open class doodle.
Bunch of cone heads.
A bunch of cone heads. Very interesting head, right? From Ithaca. And
Yes.
there is Ajax, the great. No, this is Ajax the Greater. We have also Ajax the Minor.
Ajax. Oh,
Ajax. I'm sorry, Ajax.
No.
Ajax
You're right.
being-
You're right. It's just
Ajax.
I'm trying to
Ajax.
remember I remember the American way of saying Ajax.
Ajax, right? Who had the impenetrable shield crafted by
Yes.
Hephaestus. Hephaestus, who lived under Mount Etna on Sicily, and crafted a couple of those weapons for Zeus and co. Also for the Trojan War. Over here we have Diomedes. Here we have our beautiful guy Achilles. And then we have Agamemnon. This is Agamemnon of Mycenae. And this is Nestor. We had a lot of people that wanted to get together with this beautiful lady. And it got to a point where it got a bit, almost violent, right? Where people were fighting against each other. So Odysseus, being the smart guy he was, said, you know what? Let's do one thing. Let's swear an oath of protection to not harm the person that Helen would, in the end, choose from all of us, right? It doesn't matter.
Didn't
She
she
can
impose that on them, or was it the other
I
way
think
around? I don't remember.
in
really
one
don't.
tale it has been said that it was her father. There is another story where it was her. In one story it has been said that it was Odysseus. So there are many versions, but yeah, in the end there was this oath that everybody had to pledge. Everybody had to pledge to not harm the future spouse, the future groom of Helen, right? And so she, in the end, she chose Menelaus, also of Mycenae. And
Who is Menelaus in this picture? Sorry, it's just I can't see your cursor, so I don't know which one you're pointing at.
This is Menelaus.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see. Okay, so he's the
In the
one in the middle.
Yes.
And Agamemnon, is he the one?
This is here. Agamemnon never wore a helmet.
A helmet. Okay,
Right?
yeah.
He was very powerful. He was the king of Mycenae. He was the chief boot knocker down there. He had an incredible
Descendants of Atlantis. Sorry, that's how they claimed anyway. That's why they consider themselves powerful, because according to them, according to their history, they were like one of the very first mariners in the Mediterranean, and he probably even sailed out beyond, according to some historians. And they are the precursors or the ancestors to the Phoenicians. Their society developed after the Mycenaean Empire collapsed at the end of the Bronze Age, and their little pockets of outposts became their own little municipalities or nations, like the Phoenicians. So just want to mention that because it's pretty interesting. Right.
Thank you. No, absolutely.
Please return to discussion. I will not try to interrupt.
So the suitors, aka the horny gang, right? They kind of I knew you would laugh. I did this for you because they were all, look at them. Look how they look. And I was like, look at these guys.
Not a hint of soy anywhere.
No, look at
pure
them.
testosterone.
It's like she was beautiful. She is also, to be said, one of the survivors, of course, and she's like a godchild, right? She was born out of an egg. So in witchcraft, there is the saying that if you are born of an egg, you're an immortal, but you're also cursed. And this is what happened to this fine lady as well, right? She was in a way immortal, but also cursed because she was just so attractive. And okay, the horny gang said, all right, Odysseus, great idea. Let's pledge that we shall not harm the future groom of Helen. And so she chose Menelaus, the guy here, like the ugliest looking guy, actually. I mean, look at this guy. Why'd you choose this one? I don't know.
Why did you make him look so?
Because every time,
so shocked. Like he looks so shocked at the fact he got picked. Like
yes, because he got like, what me, right? I'm not even Agamemnon, right? I'm not a descendant of a Titan, because Agamemnon technically is a descendant of Atlas, right? The city of Atlantis was founded by Atlas, so he's a reminiscence, right? He's a shredder.
Yeah.
So why did you instead of picking a Titan, right? You pick this guy here? But hey. Allegedly, Helen said, I'm picking Menelaus because he makes me laugh. Because he's a smart guy that makes me laugh. And that stuff was picked up by Roger Rabbit later on as well. So we have
you heard that? You heard that, fellas? That's all you got to do. It does work.
It does work. Make them laugh. Show your smartness. Show your intelligence. Be charming. And you will see. You conquer their heart.
Holy shit, coach. You just saved a bunch of dudes like $1,000 in fake-ass courses.
Yes.
Just a simple concept.
It's absolutely bullshit. Just ask a question and listen to their answers, and ask another question and listen to their answers. And then eventually you will come up with a comment or a cross-reference that is funny. Make her laugh this way. Buy her a drink. This is where everything starts.
And if the battle is, if you see the battle is going to be lost, just take your losses and go. There'll be another fight later on.
Right.
But so basically, you want me to kind of just go?
Sure.
Like just try to I'll do like a quick fast forward, but
no, you want to save those people some time. I understand.
No, I mean,
these fine folks. No, you're I'm just joking.
Well, look, guys, in short, no, because I do like to explain this little part actually. So while all of this is going on, of course, all the Olympian gods are made aware of what's happening, and Zeus, being Zeus, gets dragged into a little discussion, because you see, on Mount Olympus, we're having a wedding. Now, forgive me, I don't remember whose wedding it is.
It was Thetis, and Peleus. And Thetis is important because she's the mother of Achilles. And
yes, correct.
She's also the mother of Metis, who was then one of the mistresses of Zeus, who gave birth to Athena.
Yeah. That's a great way of that's a great sound effect. But yeah. So yeah, they're celebrating the wedding of Peleus and Thetis, and throughout this entire party, everybody's having a good time. But then out of nowhere, what's the name of that goddess that everybody hates?
Right. So here's the thing. Yeah. Zeus kind of, throws this party. Of course, if that, was already like his intention to kind of, see, because he collected all the heroes and all the gods except Ares or Ares. It depends on the Eris is the
Eris.
Eris. She's she is actually the prototype of the bad witch in all Disney movies. If you see that, that hunchback type furuncle wearing thick nose, old gray witch type of character, that is actually Eris. That is the goddess of discord that wasn't invited to the party. So she was really upset about that.
Loki, if he was trans, basically.
If Loki was trans, right, with a little bit of Leon, right, that would be...
Oh, shit! Not Leon, bro.
That would be Ares, the goddess of discord, right? Because she always brings... Right, I'm sorry. Yeah. So they're having this great party, and please go on.
Oh, okay. So they're having this great party, and Eris, the goddess of discord and strife, as we said earlier, she basically saw everyone was having fun, and immediately just went all like, where is my invitation? She starts complaining, basically, that they didn't get invited.
Exactly like he said. Yeah. Really pissed off.
Very pissed off. And what ended up occurring is, out of payback, again, remember this, pettiness, all of these conflicts, pure pettiness. But Eris decides, okay, Zeus, you bastard, I'm a fuck with you right now. And she gets out this golden apple that Coach here drew that had the words written of the most beautiful. And of course, she throws it at one of the top 3 goddesses. I believe this one was was it Aphrodite or Athena first? I
we
forget.
have Aphrodite, Hera, and Athena, right? She throws
Yeah, but
it.
which one was the first?
I think
it was Athena, right? Or Hera?
No, I think Hera wants
right?
it first, and then Athena jumps in, and Aphrodite's as the last one.
So you gotta understand, this one is super petty, but the fact these 3 dummies took it as a challenge is even more hilarious, because Hera sees it, and then Athena sees it, and then Aphrodite sees it, and of course, all 3 of these women got such a big ass ego that then they go to Zeus, and Zeus sees the writing of the wall that's like, oh no, if I say 1, I'm gonna get the smoke from the 2. And look, I don't want no more punishment. I already got 20 bitches waiting for me down on Earth. And so he said, like, sorry, it's sounding so gangster, but it's true.
Fact of the matter is, I think Zeus, whether he was planning all this or just part of this, like, he was throwing this party because he knew something is going to happen, right? Also, by excluding, of course, Ares, he knew something would happen. Because Ares, the goddess of strife and discord, she would not let that sit on herself. So
Ares wasn't part of the plan at all. Like, it all went so bad. Like, even Zeus recognized it at the end.
Yeah, but here, I think when I agree on that 100%, that it seems like this is what the sources tell us. But when they kind of said, all right, let's ask Zeus who should, get the apple, I think Zeus saw his chance. I think Zeus saw his possibilities, like, all right, I'm gonna tie this into Helen, because Helen was my creation in the first place to throw discord and to, disunite these 3 very powerful kingdoms that were living pretty much happily, with each other, right? Athens, Sparta, Messenia also, and Troy. There were actually it was a time of peace, and he said, no, I have to make sure that they fight all against each other. Never forget that as the narrative backdrop. So I think he saw his chance here when they said, all right, who is the most beautiful? Who deserves the golden apple? Side on side notation, note here, like in parenthesis. It's very interesting that the golden apple, or the quince, or the Sidonian pear, right? That this apple thing that we find also in the Old Testament, that we find also in many other narratives, is very interesting that here again, it's this piece of seduction, right? The piece where everything, literally kind of breaks up, right? It's the apple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of funny because it's like there's like a weird spin on the apple in the Garden of Eden, except nobody took a bite out of it. The apple was just a ticking time bomb for...
It's a ticking time bomb.
For pride, petty pride.
So what does Zeus do? He wants to seize this possibility that, let's call it coincidence, kind of, laid on a silver platter. So what does he do?
Well, he decides... I'm not going to make that choice of who is the prettiest out of you 3. You guys instead are going to get it out of this farm boy over here. And by the way, that farm boy was Paris, because the shepherd in question did not kill the boy. Instead, he felt pity for the boy and raised him and loved him like he was his own son, without the kid knowing anything about his lineage. Right. And so...
this shepherd boy, this very innocent boy, again, also, of course, the sheeps and goats being the symbol of innocence, the lamb of God. Of course, we have again like a very strong metaphor that, and of course the name Paris, right, is a very interesting name. And so this little innocent boy from the countryside, who has nothing to do with these political conspiracies, with this bloodshed, with these interest and currents, political and games and so on and so forth. He now gets picked by the chief of all gods to decide which goddess, whether Athena, Aphrodite, or Hera, the sister and also the queen of Zeus, whether who is the most beautiful, who deserves the golden apple. And so, of course, the goddesses, being as devious and manipulative as Zeus himself, right? They are, offering Paris a lot of good stuff in return for his vote, right?
Yeah, I think Hera. What Hera promised him all of, I believe, all of Europe or Asia. I forget which one it was.
Both.
Right?
Yes.
Like half of the world, I believe it was.
I make you king of half of the world, basically, of Europe
half
and
of the
Asia.
world. Yeah,
It's very interesting that they regarded already 3000 BC Asia as being, a kingdom. So they knew.
Oh, they knew about it. They knew all
course.
about it. You know, the kingdom of the Yellow Emperor and all that shit. Okay,
Yeah,
no, I'm not gonna go off tangent. Right.
Please,
So
no.
yeah.
Then Athena offers Paris unlimited skills of war.
Yes,
right? Like the
that's
skill
correct.
of war, to wage war and to conquer all the lands, to become a very
to become the greatest
emperor.
warrior, basically greater than Achilles. Yeah, that was
Yes.
the offer. And then
Aphrodite.
Oh my, Aphrodite won the
Being a
heart of the
smart
little
ass.
shepherd. Yes.
Yes, because she knew exactly this boy. Look at him. Look at him. He's a shepherd. He's not interested in kingdoms. He's not interested in bloodshed. He's interested in
Love. You okay there, coach?
yes. It's love.
Oh, okay. Your camera.
just-
Sorry, your camera paused for a second. I was like, oh no,
it's better-
it was
it's better
gonna
this way.
disconnect the host again.
So she
No, you're good.
offers Paris not money, not gold, not kingdoms, not warfare. No, she offers to him the most beautiful woman that lives. It's like, pick the most beautiful woman. I'm gonna make her yours, and you're gonna live with her if that is truly your wish.
Yeah, it's crazy because, like, yeah, she said, I'll cast, in her words, like, whichever woman you fall in love with, or that you choose to love, I will cast a spell and make her fall madly in love with you. And to move forward with that, of course, Paris gives the apple to Aphrodite, henceforth cementing her role as the most beautiful of all the goddesses.
Right,
Yeah.
which infuriated Athena and Hera, and that will play out later. And later, as we of course will get to. I mean, Paris is fucking up, but it's not him. Of course, Zeus is really
Unfortunately
the
not.
perpetrator. No, it's not him.
Yeah.
So
and,
of course, yeah.
Actually, you know what? You go on and do the part. You do this part. Actually.
All right. Sure.
I'm sure.
Okay. So Paris.
You're knowledgeable too, my friend.
Thank you.
Oh God.
So Aphrodite wins the golden apple and promises Paris the woman of his dreams, and he picks Helen of Sparta. The problem is Helen is married, but Paris doesn't give a fuck. So Aphrodite casts a spell. Paris sails to Sparta, gets Helen. Helen falls in love with Paris, and he and his crew, they fight back, of course, the Spartans, which is not the easiest thing to do, as you can imagine, being the Spartans, the fighters that they were, and of course, incredible, skilled, and very strong fighters, but nonetheless, they fight against them, and he brings Helen to the ship and to Troy, where he presents himself also in front of his king and his father, Priam, telling him, hey, by the way, I'm your lost son, and I brought the most beautiful woman in the world to the kingdom of Troy. Why don't we, celebrate this event, and let's start a new chapter in this, glorious, in the glorious history, in this book of glorious history of the city of Troy. And Priam goes,
Lord.
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah. Let's not forget. Wait, no, let's
Yes.
not forget, Coach. Not only does Priam say sure, but then out of nowhere, his sister Cassandra just goes, just
Oh, yeah.
screams in agony.
Yeah. No, please don't do that. Right? He's gonna
We're all
bring
fucked.
again.
Kick him out, and we'll
kick
be
him
fine.
out. Right? As soon
And
as,
nobody believes her.
she's why? Because she was cursed by Apollo. Because she once rejected him. He got so angry over that her war prophecy that Paris is gonna bring demise and total destruction and annihilation of the Trojan people wasn't heard by the royal family and by the royal guards. Most importantly, by the army, that the famous army of Troy, because she was cursed, and so nobody believed her. It was like the famous, tale of the little kid that was warning the village of the bad wolf, and then at the end, when it really happened, nobody listened to the boy because he was always playing And so there is an echo in that little fairy tale analogy about not, telling the truth that kind of somehow echoes until the story of Troy, right? That has a certain kind of weird twist to it. And so Cassandra, she knew what was about to happen, but nobody believed her because of the curse of Apollo being the god of beauty, but also a narcissist and so a bisexual, devious being, right? And so
was he a god of beauty? I thought it was just music.
He was also also beauty.
Oh
Grace,
no, you're right. Yeah. Like,
grace
it's
and beauty.
odd.
Yeah.
He was that. Look, he's an artist. Basically,
yes.
that, like, you can summarize him up that way. Okay.
Yes.
Except when you piss him off, he's a psycho. But like, seriously, dude.
So part one of Zeus' plan works out nicely. He creates Helen in the first place, right? He makes her so beautiful that all Greek empires fall in love, city empires fall in love with her. So he knows that already just by, Helen just existing, she would create discord. Then he sees the opportunity during the marriage of Thetis and Peleus, of giving, the right to decide which is the most beautiful of all goddesses, right? And in order to receive the golden apple to Paris, the innocent shepherd that he knew, of course, that he wasn't an innocent shepherd, that he was the prince of Troy. And would he, of course, return to Troy with such a beautiful queen on his side, right? He wouldn't, raise her in a shepherd's den, right? Despite of his humble upbringings, he would, of course, try his best to, satisfy such a beautiful and graceful queen. And Zeus knew that. So he was playing with this thought, like, all right, if Paris chooses the woman, which he most likely will do because he doesn't know riches, he doesn't know warfare, he's not interested in money, so he is interested in love. He misses like a wife on his side, so he will most definitely go give Aphrodite the apple. And he predicted the events. He knew that Paris would come back to Troy with the kidnapped queen of Sparta. Why kidnapped? Because she was already married to Menelaus, and they were actually having a great marriage. It wasn't like not even where you say, all right, maybe they weren't like really happy with each other. No, they were quite happy with each other. It was actually a beautiful marriage. They were in love with each other. Sparta was thriving. Everything was okay. So Zeus this is where the whole plan starts to evolve and gets more and more deadly traction.
Yeah, and what ends up ensuing afterwards is Menelaus calls upon all the other lords, if you will, and their individual domains, including his brother Agamemnon, and then summons basically all the might of Greece.
Right, he reminds them of the oath, right? He said, hey, you swore an oath of protection. There should no harm happen to the groom of the bride. And so now harm is happening to me. They stole my wife. So you have to stand in for your oath. And there was a bit of debate, right? Because he was not attacked.
But they had to either way, because they made an oath. They couldn't just break it in front of everyone. So it's not like they made it like, behind closed doors and stuff. No, it was a public oath, which meant that if they did not follow the oath, it could lead to political unrest in their lands, rebellion,
and maybe even exile, which was like a death sentence back then, right? If you would have had to exile from your kingdom, that meant you were lost. That people could just
wouldn't
kill
do
you.
that anyway.
So they wouldn't do that anyway.
So they had no
were
choice.
Bound. Right.
Yeah. Like Menelaus was backed into a wall because if he had just let Paris keep Helen, then it would have made him look very bad. Like not only as a man, but as a ruler. Like, how can we trust a guy that can't even protect his own wife?
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
Then the reason is, okay, well, what?
Whoa,
What the fuck?
What is going on? Oh,
I
do we
don't
have
know
somebody
either.
we need to throw out here? Erica Antonioli, toute façon, je t'aime. Well, it's a love declaration, but maybe this is... that's
Okay.
happening on Facebook, okay.
All right,
And
randomness.
Erica,
All right.
randomness. Erica, let us know if something
Yeah.
weird is happening. So the mods...
Congratulations, I guess. I'm not sure.
not
Right,
sure.
back to the story. Random things. Okay.
Random things happening.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
welcome to the internet.
Ding
Right.
da dong.
Because the more you know. So yeah, he summons all the lords, and they basically take years to prepare a large enough fleet to sail to Troy. And over there, you get a lot of the heroes that you all know and love, especially Achilles. And
Of
they all
course.
gather up in this army. And when they land on Troy's shores, we begin what is considered to be quite the interesting battle, because it's the last battle where the gods directly aid the humans, not in like, they drop down and start beating people up. No, more like they provide indirect
information,
aid.
weapons, indirect aid.
The walls of the city were built literally years prior by Poseidon and another one, I forget, because
I think
they
was
lost
a Titan that helped him, right? They lost a bet, and so Poseidon and the Titan had to build these walls. So they were indestructible. Yeah, absolutely impenetrable. I want to just really quick. This war that happens because of an oath, right? Of an oath that was publicly pledged. It reminds me a little bit of what happened to Germany during the First World War with Austria. Because let's not forget, Germany stepped into the First World War because Austria declared war to Serbia because of the incidents that happened in Sarajevo, where the prince was killed allegedly by this terrorist, allegedly. If that really happened, like the history books are telling us, I highly doubt that. And so just a year before, there was this high manipulative kind of... Germany was manipulated into signing a blanco, like a white contract, in case of war with Austria to secure the eastern borders. And they had to do that because Austria was promising something back. And so they were kind of... The British Empire was also behind this. So they were kind of manipulated, driven into signing this blank contract, not knowing that Austria almost a year later would actually go to war. And so they had to, because it was publicly pledged, they had to follow the oath, even if they had no dealings with Serbia at that time, and what later happened then with Hungary, and then when the rest of the world stepped in. So somehow that it's crazy, because this is really happened. That really happened in Europe. I also believe that this really happened. So, but it kind of, that history repeats itself, I guess.
It does repeat itself 100%. People always ask themselves, like, okay, why did some war start? And most of the time it's because, an oath, contract, whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing. It was made maybe in order for, and it was made usually secondhand, like, oh yeah, if you're in trouble, I'll help you, because it's highly unlikely we'll be in trouble in the next couple of years. And then some wild card event happens that now forces those who swore the oath into quite the predicament. If they want a good mirror of, that this whole concept of how an oath can kind of force you into oblivion. If you want some more fantastical, the Oath of Feanor, it's a good one.
Yes, it's a good one.
It's literally, but in this one,
but it's similar, like what you're bringing up. It's similar,
well,
right?
With Feanor,
so maybe
Tolkien
was taking, yeah, sure, but
because Feanor's oath is different in the fact that he swears it before the creator, where these guys swore it before their fellow mortal man. So they were bound to follow it, but it's not like they staked their souls on it. As long as the task was complete, it was. It's a little bit. It's a little bit like more severe. To do an oath before the creator, and then to do an oath before another king, because you kind of have no choice. Feanor had the choice. He chose foolishly. These guys had no choice. They
It's
simply
true,
did it out
true.
of lust
Okay,
and
I agree.
cybersecurity, you know? So
No, I
it's
agree.
an interesting parallel, I would say.
I agree on that. I get it. You're right. So Zeus saw his plan, of course, coming into fruition because he knew that the suitors were bound by the oath, and so therefore they had to follow the call of Menelaus that he would certainly make, because his most beautiful wife was it looked like she was kidnapped. Of course, they didn't know that she was, under a spell of Aphrodite, right? Because Menelaus would have no reason to believe that she would just fall in love out of the blue spontaneously and naturally with Paris, because they were living a happy marriage, even though he looked like he looked.
He believed that Menelaus did believe that his wife was tricked, or that she was, or something was done to her.
It was done to her.
Yeah, like some vile sorcery was done on her, and that he had to rescue her.
There was like some sort of a vial or a potion that was mixed in her drink, and that's why she. A lot of speculation, but it was actually a very powerful spell by the goddess of beauty herself, Aphrodite. So I think the first who pledged was, of course, Agamemnon. Then Odysseus followed, and then Ajax the Greater and the Minor followed, and Salamis, Diomedes. We're talking about Greek royalty and one of the greatest empires and one of the greatest armies of the Western Mediterranean that came together to stand beside an oath as fighting men. So they knew exactly that their mission was a very heavy one, because on the other side there was the Empire of Troy. And if we look at the Trojan royalty, I have it down here. So we have the Trojan nobles. That was Aeneas, who later founded Rome, right? Who fled Troy. He, aka one of the survivors of Troy. The Lycians, right, with Glaucus and the others from that empire, very powerful, very strong family. And we're talking about the Amazon tribe as well. So again, we have another point of interest where the mythological tale kind of clashes with the historical evidence. So the Amazon tribe was part of the Trojan nobles, of the fighting force that defended the walls against the superpower that was coming in, right? The Greek superpower that was coming by sea.
Yeah, and the thing is that we have to understand, even though the Trojan Empire was big, it was not as massive as the entire collective of Greece coming straight at you. Now, the advantage that they had against them was the fact that they're only attacking a single city, and it's the most fortified city in the world. So all they had to do, as per the legend, was hold out as long as possible, wait for their reinforcements to arrive and attack the Greeks by surprise, and basically do this long war of attrition that they get tired because they ran out of supplies and they leave. That was the strategy. But as we learn, of course, a lot of tragedies happen throughout the multiple battles. For example, at least the ones I can remember off the top of my head. Forgive me, I can't remember them all. But if you do remember some, coach, just blurt them out. But for example, Achilles, per se, he originally did not want to be involved in this war. He was forced into it, but he even made it clear, like, hey, this is bullshit. I don't want to be involved in this. There's no honor in this. You're literally forcing people to kill each other because the fact that somebody stole your wife, And instead of being civil about it, you could have been civil about it, and the Trojans would have most likely, under the threat of war, returned your wife to you and locked Paris up in a cell. But instead you chose violence, and now you screwed everyone over. And so he kept his myrmidons behind until they killed his friend, until Hector killed his friend.
Patroclus.
Patroclus. He killed his friend Patroclus in battle.
And
But that
no, they
was
were
because
not gay. They were friends. They
no,
were
they were
just
friends. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot.
like
Yeah.
in the movie. It's like,
Disclaimer:
yeah.
just because a man is really good friends with another man does not mean they're secretly in the closet.
There is
They are just good friends.
non-erotical bromance sometimes between men that is perfectly fine and really happens very commonly. It's nothing unusual that, you know, guys sometimes when they really love each other, they hang out, they touch themselves, they hug themselves. It's okay, and there is no sexual intention behind it. It's just being good friends, right? It's being in contact with each other because you truly love someone and you also trust them in the battlefield. Achilles, I think we have to mention very quickly, is an immortal guy. Again, he was, you know, son of Peleus and Thetis, and Thetis is, of course, the daughter of Oceanus, and she was a river goddess, an immortal one, and she bathed when Achilles was very young, a little kid actually. She bathed him into the river Styx, which is the underworld river. And the river Styx is when you bathe someone in there, it kind of insulates your skin, right? If you survive that, no weapon can harm you. The thing was that Thetis was holding Achilles, of course, by one of his feet, I think, by one of his foot of and so therefore she covered
by one of the heel of his feet.
By one of the heel of his feet, and so she was covering the heel with her own skin, and so that was the only part where the river Styx couldn't cover his body, and that left a little spot in his body where actually he could be penetrated by a weapon, by a blade or by an arrow. And so the immortal, almost invincible Achilles that wasn't even eager to join this fight in the first place, right, was almost indestructible, except that little part of his body that, you know, Thetis was kind of neglecting, right? She actually had to kind of hold him the other way as well, and kind of just and here we have again also into modern times where we have George, the dragon slayer, who took a bath in the blood of the dragon, and there was this pool when he killed the dragon, this pool of blood that came out, and he took a bath and in that pool to become invincible. And then I think it was an acorn leaf that came down from the tree that he didn't notice, and it touched his shoulder, and so that part was spared by the blood. And this is where George was hit also by the spear. That was the only part of his body where he could be penetrated by a blade, and so George died as well. Similar to Achilles, again, we have a mythological theme that was kind of reused and kind of in a new shape.
I got another comparison.
Right.
The knight Siegfried, I believe is what the name he was given.
Yes.
Yeah. So Siegfried was basically a knight that hunted down a dragon, and after killing the dragon, his whole body got bathed in his blood and basically became not only magical but importantly impenetrable. So there's a lot of these stories of these mortals or half mortals getting dipped into magical substances that make their bodies harder than steel, harder to penetrate, and or give them
we have similar
super regenerative powers.
In Asia, we have the bulletproof monks, right? The ape monks, or the ape style fighting monks, where it is said that they have certain powers, these Shaolin monks, that is coming from that ritual of embodying that special ape, right? And that would make their skin impenetrable to blade weapons as well. So we have that. We have many sources where it has been said that warriors develop that technique, or through magical intervention or other interventions, right? That something happened to the skin, right? That skin turned into stone. And also in the alchemists from the 17th, 18th century, also the Spanish alchemists, they were working on a serum that could turn organic flesh into stone, right? To defeat their opponents. Instead of poisoning them, they tried to, turn them into statues. So very interesting how that kind of reverberates through history and through these tales.
Yeah, and
Achilles was this incredible, powerful warrior, and Thetis actually, I think it was the day when he set foot on Troy, where Thetis came out of a nearby river and presented herself. Kind of, she brought him, I think, a sword that was forged by Hephaestus in Mount Etna.
He gave him basically
like a weapon. I don't know.
Yeah, he was given a full set of Myrmidon armor. Yeah, it's the Myrmidon armor, and then a spear and a shield. It was like a triple set, but specifically the most important one for Thetis was the Myrmidon armor, because according to the descriptions, again, very vague, so you can't say one description is better than the other. It's more like at that point the artistic interpretations can go wild, but all we know is that it was a type of armor that set him apart from the rest of the warriors, and it was like this brightly red embossed leather that was ridiculously hard to penetrate, like reinforced leather, and with some plates in there. But like his skill as a warrior, like he even told him, like, you probably won't need this, but just in case, wear this, because that way you'll look more intimidating on the battlefield. And well, this guy was already a renowned warrior, so having a shield and a spear just made him even harder to kill.
Right. It was also said that there was this prophecy. Also, there are many versions on this, but basically, when Thetis gave the set of weapons and the armor and everything to Achilles when he embarked in Troy, he told him that they received a prophecy, Peleus and Thetis herself, I think before he was born, and now she was telling him about it, that it was foretold that if he would go to battle once, poets will sing his name forever. If he would retire from the field, he would die of old age, but not being known except to his family and to the people who loved him. So she gave him the choice of being immortal and be known forever, but lose his family and lose his life in the process, or dying of old age, of natural, like thousands of years old, and being around with his family, but not being known by anyone else, right? By being this regular guy, basically, this retired warrior. And he actively chose to be the immortal warrior that gets killed on a battlefield, of which poets then will sing and write songs about and poems about it. And until this day, the prophecy of Thetis and Peleus seems to be true. Because till this day, we're singing, right? We're venerating him. We're telling his story. And he truly became immortal.
Yeah, and you got to understand, like, for the reason why this was picked is because the ancient Greeks, at the end of the day, they are obsessed with the fact, they believed anyway, that the way you achieve true immortality was through being known. So if you achieved the status that Achilles did, then that means that you have attained true immortality, because unlike everybody else, you are still being remembered for whatever you did. They may not know everything about you, but you are remembered. So that's why that's sort of like, that was an ancient Greek mentality at the time, which was that, screw everything else. Like, living a normal life is for pussies. Become a legend, basically. They took the Andrew Tate philosophy to the 200th degree,
Right. I think, what you're saying is truly interesting. And again, on one hand, we have Paris, that was offered all empires or all skills of armory and warfare and refused and just picked love. And on the other hand, we have Achilles, and they offering him a beautiful life, surrounded by his beloved ones, his family, and he would die of old age and everything in a harmonious way. And he chose war. So it's interesting how, what the differences are. Right? It's been said that
well, how ancient Greeks are,
yes,
they sometimes try to explain a second or third message, like a hidden message within all those stories. You can consider like the one with Achilles and Paris to be more of a case of how do I put it? Paris warning about the dangers of lust, and Achilles warning
Warning
about
about the
the
dangers
dangers of following
just
of
instinct
being too
or
obedient or being too duty bound, or
Mhm.
a third meaning you can get out of him is um too much pride or too much ambition, can lead to you
Mm.
falling. So you can say they tell, multiple teachings with one single character. But again, it
Yes.
depends on who is reading it and if they can even interpret what we are interpreting.
And mind you, this stuff was written as poetry in rhyme form back then. It's just absolutely flabbergasting, in my opinion. I want to show you something. This is the map of all the tribes and the clans and the empires actually fighting with or against each other in Troy.
Whoa.
This is pretty insane.
That's a lot.
That's a freaking lot. No, just to give you an idea of the scale and the context of this was a full-fledged war, guys. So I can understand on one hand the sensational desire and thirst of exploiting this very, kind of warful and story just by that aspect. But we wanted just to give you also the context of the mythology and the gods with it, because through that, I think it becomes even more interesting and even more sensational and epic.
Yeah, no, because like to the ancient Greeks, this was their world. I mean, yeah, they knew there was more outside of it, but to them, this was exactly what their world was about. And
we have
you
also
guys have
the entrance. Yeah, we have also so.
And there are islands in here, by the way,
guys,
that
only about
are not
if
visible
we would
anymore.
Right, exactly. There are some islands have been submerged. There were volcanic eruptions, and some of these were heavily damaged, and just a fraction of what they were back then. And just two things: Lycia itself kind of deserves a whole episode. It's a very, very interesting little corner of the world. You can't imagine what stuff happened there, what kind of buildings people found there, somewhere in the mountains and in regions where you can't even imagine. There are temples that were literally carved out of the rock, or just, chiseled into a mountain.
The wolf temples, you mean?
Yeah, the wolf temples and all that. It's amazing. From Lycia, we have the first coins, one of the first commercial commerce networks. Highly interesting piece of land. Nobody talks about this little thing here. Then the Lycians also had the Scythian hats, right? So the Scythians are connected to the Lycians, and through the expansion then of the Turkish Empire, the Scythians came to terra firma, and they even came so far north to become part of the royal and noble family of Poland. So this stuff is crazy. It starts in mythology and it arrives in contemporary history that involves empires fighting against each other again, that were involved in world wars and huge conflict. So to me, this is highly fascinating how there is a certain magical frontier where, the lines are a bit blurred between fantasy and actual occurrence and real-time people, because the Polish royal families, they claim they're from Scythian descent, and the Scythians, these were magical people. They themselves declared them, as being descendants of the magical gods. So what's happening here, right? All these demigods, demiurgs, all these celestial interventions, and all these stories where gods are attracted by the young ladies, whether it's in the Bible, in Greek mythology. I mean, Zeus is the perfect example of the patriarch from the sky who was just horny all the time, right? And
that's a great way of putting it.
Yes. And so all these clans, all these different interests, all these demigods, demiurgs were now clashing against each other, with each other, in this little piece of land that is called Troy, which is up here. So we have Athens, Mycenae, Lycia, and of course Crete was also involved with the Minoan ancestry that gave birth, right? And so we have here all the descendants, all the Greek champions, and all the... But I don't see the Amazon tribe being mentioned here in this
I think
map.
they were further up north, so maybe they're not... There might be somewhere near Scythia, probably.
Yeah, that's
like
interesting
way up
that
north,
they are
though.
right, that they've been neglected here. But
Well,
Like
not that they were
definitely
neglected.
no,
I feel
but
like they just
maybe
didn't have space, because like
yeah,
the
maybe.
Amazonians, they were
You're
described to
right.
be like far to the north, isolated from all of this. So most likely, they didn't show where they're at because it would make the map look unnecessarily big, like all of that extra space for one little dot.
Ooh, we have
Hey,
the
Gooch.
Gooch. What's
How you
up?
doing, Gooch?
What's up? What up, Gooch? Gooch. I
Yeah,
love the word
man.
Gooch. It sounds
Gooch,
Gooch.
man. Gooch, man. You
Gooch
came a
man.
little late, man.
A
Bro.
Persian camouflaged as a Sicilian who lives in Canada. Very
I
strange.
know, right? That's
very,
all. That is very odd.
that's very, very, very sassy.
Very sus.
I
No, but
just want to point out one thing really quick.
Mhm.
We should mention that before these guys even, actually started, sailing the sea, and they made, of course, this big war conference in Greece, right, where they kind of, all right, what should we do? Okay, let's, we have to gather all of our forces. Of course, they've threatened the Troy family, the noble family of Troy. Is like, if you don't give us Helen back, and they said, no, this is Paris. He came back, so I'm not gonna do that. So when they actually decided that they want to go to war, the problem was that I'm having some trouble. I'm showing the drawing. I don't understand. I don't quite understand the problem here with the internet right now. But the thing is this: when they decided to actually sail the sea, the problem was there was no wind. There was absolutely no wind. And Agamemnon was furious because he knew that there was just a little time window where he could, surprise. There was no real surprise, but kind of sailing with, in a very shortly manner. So
yeah, arrived sooner than the Trojans were expecting, so they could prepare more proper defenses. Yeah, they were having issues with that, and I don't remember. How they got their wind.
Yes, that's a very tough thing to swallow, because so Agamemnon, right, is desperate about.
Oh no, I remember what it was now. Yes. Oh wow, yes.
That's a very sinister move. Like, so what happens is this. I think Agamemnon was also part of the Argonauts, if I don't remember this wrong, and there was a part of the Argonauts or of the Odyssey, I don't remember quite where it was, where they killed the holy deer of Demeter, right? Who was the goddess of the hunt and the forest.
Yes.
And there was this, again, also the deer, being this immaculate being, also being identified with God and all that. And so the deer was killed by the Greeks, and Demeter was still furious, like crazy furious.
Well, no, the goddess of harvest and agriculture, Artemis.
Demeter, of course, Artemis. Yes,
it's all right, bro. We mix them up all the time.
Oh yeah. It's agriculture and harvest. I'm sorry for that. And so Agamemnon gets told that in order to get wind back, to let this incredible, huge Greek armada finally sail to Troy, she asks from Agamemnon to sacrifice her child. And Agamemnon goes, sure. So he lures.
Yep, they said a virgin too. Like, it didn't have to be his child, but no. He's like, okay, fuck it.
We're picky.
I can get another one. It's like a fucking dollar store sale.
So the first to pledge allegiance to the oath, and the first to pledge, of course, also, allegiance to the kingdom of Sparta, who was Agamemnon, was also the first to being totally okay to say, you know what, if the sacrifice needs to be done, my kid is gonna, ascend into the sky anyways afterwards for being a martyr. So therefore, he lured his own daughter, Iphigenia,
yes,
into a temple, letting her believe that Odysseus was about to marry her. So she came into the temple and she realized really quickly something is fishy here. There's no Odysseus and nothing else. And it wasn't an altar to marry someone. It was an altar because you could tell, right? It was an altar to sacrifice someone. And so
Agamemnon basically
He sacrificed his daughter.
Yeah, he basically
Demeter.
performed what Greeks would have
ritual
called
sacrifice.
dark magic. Yeah, dark ritual magic.
Yeah,
that basically
Bohemian Grove.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You know, he basically did like a dark ritual to summon wind that let's just say the gods overlooked, especially Zeus, because he really wanted this to happen, and he finally got a good enough excuse, right?
Right.
And I have to say, Coach, maybe you were not intending this, but the fact that the O is dripping with blood, and we're talking about the fact that they had to make a blood sacrifice before crossing the ocean, and the word ocean starts with an O. You've made, I think, a triple one there.
Man, no, that wasn't intentional.
You have hit number 3.
No, I have to be honest. I was just thinking about the bloodshed on the battlefield, but definitely, the sacrifice. There's also a not beautiful, but a very powerful theater play that talks about the sacrifice of Iphigenia, and what Agamemnon does there is absolutely very, very interesting play. Super entertaining, but also heavy, and highly recommend it. If it gets played into your town, you see great actors playing in it, or like a decent director directing it, go and see it. It's really, I recommend it. It's incredible play that just talks about that specific scene, right, where he sacrificed his daughter to get, favorable wins, right, to then sacrifice more men.
And you know what's crazy? It's like the story of Abraham with his son his son Isaac, right? Is it Isaac or Isaiah? I forget.
It's Isaac.
It's Isaac. Okay, yeah. So God told him through an angel, "Hey, sacrifice this kid to me, and you'll be great. You'll be good, bro." And he's like, "All right, God, I'll take a bet." And then, he doesn't want to do it though, but he's afraid. So when he's about to stab him, of course, an angel of the Lord, or an Elohim, basically stops him and tells him, "No, you dumbass, that you weren't supposed to take it literally. Get the fuck back and don't do that again." And no, but I always thought about that because in my head I'm thinking like, maybe the test was to see how patient they were, or maybe to prepare
how far
further.
They would go.
But
how
then
loyal
Agamemnon, Agamemnon summoned dark magic through the ritual, if you know what I'm talking about, people. And so like it unintentionally began something that I don't even think the gods were expecting. I don't think they were expecting the ancient Greeks, not even Zeus, to go at it hard. I think none of them could have predicted Agamemnon's ambition and greed.
Yeah. He was incredibly ambitious about the Battle of Troy, because what he saw in all this is, of course, the favor of turning Mycenae into this biggest empire, because he knew Sparta would be heavily damaged through the war, Troy probably destroyed, and so Mycenae would be one of those remaining empires of the Mediterranean, of the West Mediterranean, of the Aegean Sea, that would dominate for years to come. Also, what's interesting, of course, this is by drawing, but actually all this stuff is pretty accurate in terms of how I depict it. And the interesting thing is that in the old depiction, in the old drawings and what we have, Diomedes is depicted with a Mithra hat, with a Mithra cap. So we have here the connection also to the Mycenaeans, to the Lycians, to the Scythians, and to the Persians as well. And the Mithra cap, of course, as we know it, we already promised that's going to be an episode in itself where we have it, and what the rabbit hole and the can of worms behind that is. I just wanted to point it out.
We'll talk about the cone heads. Don't worry.
Don't worry. We will talk. Just give us a bit of time. I mean, we still need to work, right? And unfortunately,
yes, sir.
As soon as we will become incredibly unhealthy rich, we will just cover all these topics every day.
Yeah, just one day be like, all right, yeah, okay.
All right, 10 hours of streaming, no worries. We got enough
10 grand in a single day. No, I'm just kidding, but
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I'm just saying, guys, we will get to all of that, but in short, short, the Trojans lose this war because they're stupid. And they're
They're
too
stupid.
prideful. They are very stupid. Like there is no other way to describe it.
We will spare you all the single fights. Of course, Hector gets killed and kind of railed by Achilles with his.
According to Homer, after he found out it was Patroclus, he tried to reason with Achilles. But unlike the movie that they made, this Hector, according to Homer, ran around like a coward around the city like 4 or 5 times, and Achilles never once stopped until he finally killed him, and then desecrated his corpse. Let's just put it that way, with a carriage.
Yes, it desecrated it in a very, very
and then felt really bad and returned it afterwards. And Achilles, of course, gets killed in battle. I don't think a specific person kills him. I know the movie.
It was actually an arrow of Paris.
And a random arrow, stray arrow. He just shot it randomly, Apollo, and the arrow landed.
Yeah, and Apollo guided. Apollo was still mad at the Trojans because of
Didn't
Cassandra.
He get a bow from Apollo too? Like, wasn't the bow from Apollo to begin with? Like,
I think the bow was from Apollo. True.
I think so, because like that, or he was given like really good eyesight to shoot an arrow pretty well. I don't know.
And
either
he
way,
redirects the arrow into that little spot into the Achilles heel and then kills the mighty warrior.
Yeah, and it's ironic because the mightiest warrior on earth gets killed by the simplest farm boy, and and it's like, it's basically like a weird way of saying love conquers all.
It is.
Love conquers all, including
the underlying
raw
message
violence.
Here. Yeah.
Which is funny because, like, the Trojans, after they lose, they create like the most violent empire in recent human history, which is ironic. It's like payback times 2,000. But they were very stupid because they allowed a random ass wooden horse that just showed up in the middle of the morning inside
Again,
the city.
From smart ass Odysseus planned and mapped, right?
Yeah, when I read that the first time, I won't lie. If I was them,
what is the metaphor?
Bro, I would have thrown a torch.
Yeah, I mean, we know the horse in occultism and symbolism and mysticism. The horse is, the untamed force of nature, right? The maverick that can't be conquered. And so, what is the metaphor here? So these guys, right? We're talking about demigods and all that, right? Incredible battles, right? Ajax fights against one of the champions of Troy for hours with these weapons that were crafted by gods, and like hundreds of people getting. So these people are smart. They get help by superior beings, and then there is like a simple wooden horse in front of their gate, and they just bring it in, and they think, yeah, sure, that's the gift of that's the peace treaty sign, that's just the surrender sign of the Greeks that are now they, of course, they left the shores. It looked like they would just take off, right? They just left their most worthy warriors in that horse. Everybody else departed from the shore, so it really looked like a full-fledged retreat, like a surrender, and say, all right, you guys have won, let's call it a day. And so we just leave you this horse as a little gift. And actually inside of that horse there was this elite stealth unit that just waited for the Trojans to kind of get drunk and wasted and party all night. And when they would just lay in their own vomit and not being able to fight anymore, they would kind of come out of the horse and slaughter everybody, and of course take the lives of queen and king. And so therefore calling it a victory over the city that looked like it was unconquerable.
I do view it as a twofold lesson, if you will, which is that number one, there is always an eventual end to all things. No matter how hard you resist, eventually, in some cases, the more you resist, the faster you're bringing on the end. You should accept the end when it comes for you, and either try to adapt and create a new beginning, or simply move on to the next phase, if you will.
I like that.
And the second teaching, if you will, is that victory through treachery will be punished tenfold. If you notice, They
That's a very good point. Yes.
Yeah, because the Greeks, I know Odysseus was crafty and everything, but the punishment for his trickery was decades out in the wilderness.
Literally 1 decade of wilderness. Please check out that episode that we taped on.
Yeah, it was great.
Event. It was great. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. But also, what I see is that the trickery of a single human mind, not of celestial descent, was strong enough to fool even gods.
Yeah, it's because at the end of the day, because they're trying to point out that human beings are different from gods in that they use every tool in their arsenal and they think outside the box, unlike the gods who always think through a certain framework of mind, but never deviate from it, if you will. The humans, on the other hand,
they always
explore. Yeah. They explore. They try everything, even if it's bad. They don't care if they're pissing someone off, and that's what usually terrifies gods like Zeus, because they're losing control. And you have these half-breeds running around with godly powers who think like the average Joes that they're ruling over. So he was obviously afraid of one day a rebellion breaking out and the mortals overtaking the gods and then becoming the new gods, because Zeus, even Zeus himself admits this, humanity eventually was destined to be the rulers of this world. It's just that out of pride, jealousy, or obsession, the gods kept constantly denying this fact. And in a way, the Trojan horse was another unintentional way of saying that there is always a change in season. And to be honest, you should get used to it, because if you don't, you will perish. Have you seen you've seen stories of cities getting buried underwater, or people who neglect to get insurance for a car and then the car crashes? That sort of now they have to pay extra. It's that sort of framework.
Murphy's Law, is that what you're talking about?
I believe it's pretty well.
It's also interesting that Zeus in the end didn't win. This is why I called this episode When Men Defeated the Gods, because Odysseus, again, yes, he was punished for his trickery, but he eventually survived that decade of his personal odyssey. He returned to his family. And again, he was on an island with Calypso, one of the most beautiful women of all time. And she offered him immortality and endless sex. And he said no, because it wasn't right. That wasn't his place. He rather returns home to his family. So again, I think it's in the end Achilles that decides against family, right? And against that retirement and for the war. Paris that decides for the woman instead for the rulership. I think in the end, it's a tale of love and fear.
I got one cool way of saying it.
Oh my God.
All these heroes, okay, sought favor with the external divine, but people like Odysseus sought the divine within, which is what terrified the gods.
Oh man, I love you. This is good stuff. Very deep. I mean, it comes after 2 hours and 50 minutes of nonsensical rumbling and mumbling, but hey, in the end,
you get something out of it.
This is the moment I hired you for. No, but you are right, man. You're so right. Guys, and this is not the first time Dragon Slayer Commentaries releases one of his depth bombs, right? He does this on his channel as well. He does it on Saturday Night Hypnosis. He's a very deep and knowledgeable guy. He just shields himself, right? Behind this cloak of superficiality and all that. He's not that, right? He just doesn't want to admit that in his core, his soul, his heart is actually full of emotion and love and interesting depth and also the passion for these arguments and topics. He really believes in them. So also go and visit his channel definitely and smash the subscribe, like, smash that thing, that like button and subscribe button over here and also on Dragon Slayer Commentaries channel, because he's a great guy. And that is so right. I think all these journeys, the horse, the taming of the wild nature, the swan, the bull, all these metaphors, all these pictures, these representations, they are representing our emotions. They are representing aspects of our personality. They're representing parts of our character. These gods that Homer was describing, they are living inside of us. They are, sometimes the good and bad principles on which we act, right? The suitors of flesh, the neglectors of fame, the embracers of war, right? These are just aspects of our personalities. This is who we are sometimes. And then we have to decide which God do we want to be. I mean, do you think it is a coincidence that the 7 days of our week are named after the gods? Right? Because every day represents an aspect of a planet that is attributed to a god, and that reflects a character behavioral pattern inside of us. So days are gods, and gods are planets, and planets are patterns, and we live in that endless cycle of living mythology, right? We live in that endless cycle of repeating the same mistakes and implementing the experience and trying to make it better. And sometimes we make it worse. Sometimes we actually hit bullseye, and we can be, satisfied with our result.
Endless harmony. That's a way of describing it.
Yes.
But yeah, okay, yeah, all right. I've acted deep enough. All right, let's talk about something. If you guys want to become an amazing public speaker, or just a good enough actor that you'll be able to call out Hollywood's bullshit in 2 seconds, then please check out the COACHMC studio. Not only is he awesome with his topics of philosophy, and this is not actually a paid advert. I'm just saying this because I really love this dude and his content. He is highly underrated because YouTube's algorithm sucks. But guys, I'm telling you, one day you guys will be thankful for every single thing he teaches you when it comes to being a good public speaker or a good actor, because learning how to properly talk and communicate with people is what's going to one day either save you or destroy you. Just saying.
Jump to readytoperform.com. Hit me up with a private message. Just let's set up a discovery session. Let's find out if we're a great match for each other. Whatever your artistic mission is, whatever you have in mind that you want to achieve, whatever it is that you want to improve in terms of performance, communication, or art skills, we got you. We got you covered. So definitely check us out, and maybe we can start an adventure together and craft something beautiful, whether that's your show reel, that's your monologue, whether that's a video for your next portfolio, or just getting better like Dragon Slayer Dad. Our public speaking program is it's getting a lot of positive feedback. It's crazy. People nowadays, they all want to step on stage. They all have to communicate. They all have to impact the camera. It's not actors anymore. The acting craft is not exclusive to Hollywood anymore. It has become like a widely accepted skill, and therefore this is what we do on readytoperform.com or over here at the COACHMC studio. I sometimes complain that we have so few subscribers, but I'm not doing this for the vanity game, for sure. It's not about that. I just love to get this content out so more and more people can potentially get empowered through this. This is what I'm hoping for. And more people will wake up, to recognize how powerful they actually are, and transforming their talents with a little bit of discipline and consistency and some right tools and guidings, can help you to, outperform everyone else, to get really like ahead of the curve and to get more control over your life, over your career, over what you are planning to do with your time, which is the most precious good on planet Earth. So definitely, visit us on readytoperform.com. And don't forget, we will have many more open class doodles also with this wonderful guy here, Dragon Slayer commentaries coming up. Like we already teased you a couple of topics. I'm not sure what's going to be the next one. Should you want to say it? Have we decided yet? Should we declare? It's like, what's going to be the next one?
Maybe talk about. Hey, we'll go easy on them. Let's talk about ancient ruins next time.
Ancient
just
ruins?
General. Yeah, general. Heck, sure. we can even actually. You know what, chat. If you want, let us know in the comments of
sure
of like the replay or through Coach's Facebook, Instagram, or whichever one you want to use. Let us know. Do you want us to cover like ancient ruins in specific parts around the world or in general? That's a good question. We are quite curious to see if you would like us to be specific or broad. So yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one to start off. Thank you so much for that. Definitely also check out the next open class doodle. It's going to be Thursday. It's 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have this time switch during the week. I know it's slightly weird, but this is also a way of, kind of trying to satisfy, all viewers on this planet. There's a bunch of people on the other side of the ocean that want to be a part of the live show as well. And they've requested for us to stream a bit earlier. So of course, we're trying to, fulfill their wish. Their wish is our order. And so therefore in the beginning of the week, it's going to be more, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, more people from here, but I also see people from Europe being present at that time. So I guess like we will find out what the best time proposition is for you guys. Definitely check me out. Definitely check us out every Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hypnotics YouTube channel for the Saturday Night Hypnosis. We're taking over YouTube. We're taking over the globe. We're taking over the internet. Bashing bad entertainment, analyzing good entertainment, proposing our own entertainment, talking trash, sometimes, derating the stream like my man Dragon Slayer commentaries. We're the tangent king.
No apologies from me.
No apologies, of course. It's your nature. Sometimes minute-long monologues in the beginning from me, or rap songs or whatever comes to my mind. So everything can happen. This is why we love that space so much, because it's really like a circle of trust. We can do whatever. The chat is amazing, always supporting us, like the chat today was amazing. Thank you so much. Hypnotic, Gooch, Dungeon Master Blaster. I mean, we had so many cool people stopping by. Erika Antonioli, we had Vincinger, Words of Paradise. I mean, beautiful. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. Cannoli was here. Definitely, Candy Z, Annie Boo. Thank you, Serena. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. It was a really great opportunity. I had a lot of fun covering the story. And yes, the Battle of Troy came to an end. The Universal War came to an end. Zeus in the end was defeated by men. We definitely took over this planet. The gods retreated out of a pantheon. The monotheism was created. And actually, the empire of Troy and the downfall of Troy stood also for the downfall of relevance of the eastern part of the Mediterranean. Now, with Aeneas fleeing to Italy and all the other forces that were already in Sicily and in the northern parts of Europe, now all of a sudden there was a convergence of huge power and might that was collected by the Romans, or the Etruscan first, to be technically exact, and then later on what we call the Romans, sometimes also slightly wrongfully depicted by the history books, and they took over the new empire that then became the empire of the fish, right? The fish of God, and then what later became then the Roman Church, that then migrated to the Holy German and Roman Empire, that for 1,000 years allegedly kind of dominated Europe after the Greeks. So this was also a passing on type of event, the destruction of Troy. It meant that the old ways were about to end, and out of the multi-theism that was still to Roman times, 6th century, 7th century, we have a lot of different temples being built in Greece and in Rome, right, dedicated to many different gods from many different pantheons, but it got smaller and smaller. And then definitely that was also the birth, in a way, the catalyst for giving birth to the monotheistic religion of Christianity, that then kind of created this new empire that we're currently living in. And who knows when this empire will end. We will definitely be there covering that. Dragon Slayer commentaries will definitely be there, commenting bad movies. I'm trying to give you the best tools and the best spirit to make better movies for sure. Definitely. Thank you so much for stopping by. Smash the like button, guys. Subscribe to Dragon Slayer commentaries, content. Thank you so much to the chat, also present on Facebook and Instagram. Any last words, my devious snake friend?
No, that is it. Have a wonderful day.
Yes, now go home. Go away. You have something better to do than stick around on
this. Go to sleep now.
Go to sleep, do something, procreate, get drunk, study some Greek mythology, ask us some questions, and let us also know.
Sleep around.
Sleep around, do something nice. Don't become a white swan and hatch some eggs, right? Don't do that, right?
Don't become an evil dragon either.
Thank you so much, Dragon Slayer. It was great fun having you. Thank you so much again to the chat, to everybody else. If you're watching this as the replay, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, visit us for our next masterclass. It's going to happen in April. Tickets you will get in the description down below, directly through my link tree on Instagram or through my other social media networks, definitely also on Eventbrite, where we have also a little fellowship. And also you can subscribe to my Telegram channel, where you get some other updates, some more private personal stuff. On Instagram you get more the artsy stuff. Just subscribe to all these channels so you will always get informed and entertained. See you next Saturday for Saturday Night Hypnosis. Otherwise, what else can I say? Go be bigots, be enlightened, be stupid, be beautiful, be art, my friends, because now you're ready to perform. Thank you so much for stopping by. See you next time.